You're on mute, Raman Shyam.
Please unmute.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Yes, loud and clear.
So, yeah, I think they can hear. Good afternoon. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all the dignitaries and delegates on behalf of Automotive Skills Development Council at the annual Conclave 2021, Together with Excellence. This marks a very proud moment for us as we complete 10 years and being the first skills council to have been set up in the newly evolving industry demand-driven skilling ecosystem. On this momentous occasion, we are extremely privileged to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Asdc, Chairperson NCVET. Thank you very much for gracing the event, sir. We also welcome our international keynote speaker, Mr. Paul Jansen, on the topic, Digitalization of Learning in Skills Training Ecosystem. It is our pleasure to welcome the esteemed panelists spanning the automotive value chain and representing multifarious interests in the skilling ecosystem. Your presence is highly appreciable, and we look forward to being enriched by your ideas and way forward perspectives on the topics of automotive skills development ecosystem future forward and collaboration approach for automotive skills development. 10 years of Asdc have been marked by many noteworthy milestones, common thread being meaningful partnerships based on mutual value add, and going forward will form the bedrock for scale up with excellence. These associations are across full spectrum of automotive value chain and skilling ecosystem, that is government, SIAM, ACMA, FADA, training partners, and support ecosystem. For example, expert groups in domains of sales, service, manufacturing, R&D, road transportation, Industry 4.0, and EVs, spearheaded by industry leaders, are in the forefront of guiding and supporting Asdc efforts and initiatives. We are very glad to recognize and felicitate these wonderful partners and contributors who have been and will continue to remain pillars of strength in this journey. Asdc purpose is to continually develop and upgrade automotive skills for higher value addition being the key. At this current defining juncture, marked by post-pandemic challenges and consequent much faster evolution and adoption of technology, impacting the automotive value chain, and will have significant implications for the skilling ecosystem as well, especially related to reskilling and upskilling of the large numbers of existing manpower. In this sense, collaboration, future forward, and together with excellence, assume new and imperative dimensions to be addressed accordingly. Deliberations today will surely provide pointers and ideas for suitably moving forward. Thank you very much.
That was Mr. Raman Sharma. Thank you so very much, sir. And also, as likely said by him, value addition, which is really important in today's generation, leaving a better world for the future generation. Yes, we will be talking about all those factors in the today's session. Well, moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen, we live in a country like India, wherein no matter what, either we are doing a small business or a big business, we do take blessings from the God. And in this virtual world, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do exactly the same thing. We are going to do the virtual lamp lighting, and to do the same thing, we have 5 eminent people from the industry. I would really like to call their names up on the screen, and then we shall be starting with our virtual lamp lighting. The first, we have Dr. Asdc, sir, Chairperson NCVET. Thank you so very much, sir. Mr. Vinod Agrawal, President Asdc. Mr. F.R. Singhvi, sir, Vice President Asdc. Mr. Vinkesh Galati, Treasurer Asdc. Mr. Nikant Sanghi, Outgoing President Asdc. Sir, all of you all, thank you so very much. And let's begin the virtual lamp lighting.
वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा।
Well, that was it about the virtual lamp lightning. Moving ahead with our next speaker that we have for today's session, for our outgoing speech. Well, he is a renowned veteran with several decades of rich and varied experience in automotive industry. He has been a prominent voice for the industry, speaking on several relevant issues that are impacting the automotive sector in India. Prior to ASDC, he had served as Director, International Affairs and past President at FADA. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the other word when it comes to ASDC. He needs no introduction, but with the virtual clappings, let's welcome Mr. Nikunj Sanghi, sir. Thank you so very much, sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Shikha. Let me first welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. N.S. Kalsi, Chairman, NCVET, our distinguished speakers in the panel, our global speakers, and all friends who have become a part of our annual conclave. It definitely is nostalgic. ASDC is 10 years old today. I still remember the first document we signed when 10 years ago ASDC was formed. We had Dr. Pawan Goenka, who was the chairman of ASDC. We had Mr. Jayant Dawar and me, who signed the memorandum of association for ASDC along with Government of India. It looks like only yesterday we didn't have an office. We started from the Siam office. We didn't even have a table. In fact, there used to be musical chairs. Our then CEO, Mr. Sunil Chaturvedi, used to literally find a seat for himself when we started work. From there, we are where we are today. It's been a long journey, a journey of 10 years, but a journey full of events. Journeys where we have seen ups and downs. We have had our failures, we have had our sad moments, but we overcame them with the support of the entire ecosystem. Our three parent associations, SIAM, ECMA, and FADA, and of course, not the least, the Government of India, either through NSDC, through Ministry of Heavy Industries, the Ministry of Road Transport, and now lately the Ministry of Skill Development. Each one of them guided us, held our hand, and made us move forward. Today, ASDC is amongst the premier skill development councils that the country has, amongst the 37 sector skill councils that are presently functional. We are proud that we are a part of the elite. A lot has happened in these 10 years. I think our biggest achievement has been industry engagement, or I should say ecosystem engagement. ASDC was probably the first sector skill council which fulfilled each and every parameter which the government had thought when they formed the sector skill councils. We had industry engagement and we had representation from the government. We started with grants, and I'm glad to say that we did not even use our full grants. And today, ASDC is self-sufficient earning body, sustainable and sustainable for long. We have built up a strong base based on guidance and advice that we received from our elders. We have a lot of firsts to our credit. And I think one of the first credits was digitizing the assessment system. When we were reviewing the functioning of ASDC, the feedback that we got from the industry was that our assessment system was not flawless. How could we make it flawless? I think that was a charter given to us. That was the time when we approached TCS Eon, the only and probably the premier institution which is conducting the UPSC exams, which is conducting joint entrance exams for all the engineering colleges. And we went to them and asked them to partner us to give us a system of assessment which would be creditable, which would be validated, and which could not be questioned. Believe me, it took us almost a year to even convince TCS Yon to come on board. But when they did, we did start getting solutions. It was slower than what we thought, but we today have piloted, and I think almost 30,000 candidates have been certified on that platform. The advantage of that platform is that it is almost free of human intervention, not just the theories, even the practical. The practical, which is done on video, and it is sent to an assessing partner in some other part of the geography. You would know who the training partner is. The training partner would know who the assessor is. And the assessment is done on a rubric which is done by our expert groups. And that assessment is available to the future employer at the click of a button. He can actually see how he qualified. I think that's the strength of our assessment system, and which I'm glad to say is now being followed or will be followed by a lot of other sectors. The other thing that we did was develop a digital learning hub. It only got accelerated during the pandemic. We thought knowledge was universal, knowledge was virtual, and knowledge should be available at the click of the button. Again, with collaboration with TCS Yon and a lot of our industry partners, we have been able to develop a digital learning hub, which is accessible on the click of a button. A lot of our industry partners have contributed to content of this digital hub. And all that content is now free to download, freely available to anybody who wants to access. And finally, I think what we are working on, which we have piloted and which should soon be online, is our listing platform. What good is skilling if we are not able to close the loop? So from training to assessment to finally getting employed, all of this will be done on a listing platform hosted by Asdc. It will be like a Naukri.com or timejob.com for automotive industry, where the entire value chain from the trainee to the training partner to the employer to the assessing partner, all will be there available on the same platform. So these are things that we have done for Asdc, and there is a lot to do. The other thing I think our worthy Prime Minister talked about, India becoming the skilling capital of the globe. Why can't we be giving manpower all over the world? And I think we have started working on it. Our first batch of trainees is presently under training, and I'm sure very soon they'll be going to Germany as auto technicians, which Germany requires. And I think this is only a pilot. Once successful, we will be able to give the entire world skilled manpower in which India is rich. And we have proved it in the IT industry that India has the talent, India has the capability. And I'm sure Asdc will come up with this solution for not just India, but for the entire world. I thank everybody who has supported Asdc in these last 10 years, have told us what to do, have partnered with us, have supported us, have patted our back, and pulled us where we went wrong. If not for everybody, we wouldn't have been where we are today. I'm now passing on the baton to Mr. Vinod Agarwal, a veteran of this industry, a veteran I have known for long. I'm sure with the new team coming in, Mr. Vinod Agarwal, Mr. Singhvi, and Mr. Vinkesh Gulati, Asdc will travel distance far beyond what it has already traveled, at a pace far beyond what we have been able to maintain. We have a sound, strong platform. Finally, I would like to thank my team at Asdc, who have worked day and night, COVID, no COVID, and who have proved that yes, when it comes to delivering, we do deliver. Each one of them, when they joined us, they came in as freshers, as youngsters. Today, they are veterans in their own field. Today, they are giving what the industry wants them to give. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Government of India, for trusting us in doing what we are doing. Believe me, and I can assure you on behalf of the entire Asdc team, that we will deliver what the government expects us to do. We will take the nation forward. We will create the opportunities. We will build capital and therefore create more jobs and make skilling aspirational, which it is not as of yet. Thank you so much for trusting me, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to serve the country. Jai Hind.
Thank you so very much. No wonder people talk so much about you, sir. And that is one of the purpose that we have skilling, making skilling as aspirational. In today's generation, skill is the ultimate key to do wonders, right? Moving ahead, as rightly said by sir, we have our next speaker here for today as our new president, ladies chairman, rightly said by sir as well. He is the veteran of and with 41 years of rich experience in general management, finance, and operation. He has been leading VE Commercial Vehicles Limited since 2010. In his long and successful career with Eicher Group, spanning over 38 years, ladies and gentlemen, he has held several management positions, including the Chief Financial Officer of Eicher Group and President of Eicher Trucks and Buses. Over the years, he has won several awards for his contribution to the commercial vehicle industry, including CV Man of the Year twice in 2019 and 14. He was awarded as the best CEO, medium and heavy duty truck makers in 2016 by World Auto Forum and the Hall of Fame 2015 by Manufacturing Today. Ladies and gentlemen, with a virtual clapping, let's welcome our new president, Mr. Vinod Agarwal, sir. Sir, thank you so very much, and over to you.
Dr. N.S. Kalsi, Chairperson, National Council for Vocational Education and Training, Mukul Sangi, Arindam Lahiri, CEO of Asdc, Raman Sharma ji, and all other distinguished personalities present today. My namaskar, good afternoon to all of you, and thank you very much, Kunji, for a very passionate and very encouraging address. And we are really very happy at the work which ASDC has done over the last 4 years of leadership. I'm sure we will try to emulate and try to fill in your shoes. It will be very difficult. So thank you very much for all the work, all the passion with which you have driven this organization. Thank you very much. Over the years, ASDC has evolved as an important institution and has become synonymous with skill development for the auto industry. The Indian automobile industry has always been a key driver for economic growth and development in India. It contributes 35% of the manufacturing in India and contributes 6.4% of the gross domestic product. It is estimated that the industry provides direct and indirect employment to around 3.7 crore people across the value chain. Though presently, industry is currently facing some challenges ranging from demand in some segments, affordability for customers, localization, shortage of semiconductors, etc. However, going forward, this industry will be very important link for the Government of India's aspiration to become a 3 trillion economy by the year 2025. Considering this growth trajectory, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, SIAM, has already prepared a long-term roadmap for the technical regulations, including for new powertrain technologies. In addition, along with Automotive Component Manufacturers Association of India, ACMA, we have together worked out a localization roadmap with a target of about 50 to 20% further localization in next 2 to 5 years. Further, in the last few months, we have already witnessed capital expenditure announcements from the Indian and global players across various areas of component manufacturing, electric mobility, battery assembly, and auto electronics, etc. A lot of global investors and fund houses are looking to invest into both greenfield and brownfield opportunities, specifically in two areas of electric vehicle ecosystem and auto electronics. The recently announced production-linked incentives for auto and advanced cell chemistry will further drive investments in the country and contribute to India's emergence as a global manufacturing hub. I firmly believe that India's growth fundamentals are still strong in the medium to long term. Manufacturing is going to be the core of this growth in the same way as IT was in early 2000s. With regard to talent and skill scenario, the Indian automobile industry is currently facing strong pressures on cost affordability and profitability. In the last 5 years, revenue has increased by just 2.2% compounded average growth, whereas employee cost has increased by 6.5% compounded average growth. This is making companies to relook at their talent strategies. And one of the major focus areas which has come up is to bridge the skill gap currently in the industry. Bridging the skill gap has been a consistent endeavor for both SIAM and ASDC in the past few years. Even though there is a continuous growth in the number of fresh graduates every year, there are just not enough employable youth in India with very specific capabilities. If no proper measures are taken for the workforce to pick up their pace in skilling and reskilling and upgrade their existing skill set to align it with the new disruptive forces, a major chunk of today's manpower will fall prey to job polarization. Therefore, there is clearly a need to focus on skilling, upskilling, and reskilling. In order to make automotive skilling aspirational, there is an urgent need to have greater industry presence at academic institutions, both at school level as well as higher education institutes. The new education policy 2020 encourages skill education starting from 6th grade. This provides a unique opportunity for the industry to connect and engage with young minds to help fuel passion for automobiles. We need to also work on developing talent in areas of design and testing. At present, we have acute shortage of skilled manpower in the domain and have to depend on global organizations for such expertise. It is critical to start building a pipeline of skilled trained people for these areas as well. We also need to work on upskilling of existing manpower in the areas of servicing of BS6 compliant vehicles and digitalization of auto dealerships for providing after customers with the state of our sales and after sales experience. As I mentioned above, technologies are changing very rapidly. Therefore, there are several areas within manufacturing that require the reskilling, training, and apprenticeships. One of the key future areas with a lot of potential for manpower are electric vehicles and their manufacturing processes. There is a huge surge in demand for candidates who are skilled in automotive electronics. Some of the work in automation needs a fair amount of time and precision work, and therefore specialized manpower must get on board. We need to work aggressively on one of the ASDC pillar of skilling for future. The rapid changes in another technology are, especially Industry 4.0 applications, must get reflected in training curriculum. We would need to work for additional integration of new technology applications like artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, data analytics, etc. Hence, going forward, I do see that ASDC has a very important role to play in creating an ecosystem in India for providing skilled manpower for this fast-changing auto industry and ensure that Indian industry is sustainable and be competitive in the global arena. Therefore, looking at all these opportunities, I think ASDC has a great role to play in making this happen. And I'm sure with a very, very capable team of ASDC under Arindam, we will be able to take this agenda forward very, very successfully and with full force. And before I conclude, I want to thank you again, and I look forward to a very useful session today at Asdc Annual Conclave. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir. Well, moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen, to conduct the next session and next round, I would say, we have somebody really special. A passionate professional career spanning 28 years. He started his career with Maruti Udyog, received global exposure at Honeywell, and has an entrepreneurial stint as director and co-founder at Career Launcher India. His last assignment was with Education Division of HT Media Limited. No prizes for guessing. Yes, I'm talking about Mr. Arindam. So over to you.
Thank you, Shikha, and thank you, sirs, for your wonderful direction for ASTC. I would like to invite now Mr. Vinod Agarwal to felicitate Mr. Nikun Sanghi for his outstanding work as President ASTC for the last 4 years, taking out a lot of his personal time and dedicating it to supporting the work at ASTC. If you could focus on the conference room video.
Please unmute the one conference room hall mic. Please unmute the conference hall mic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for doing the honors, and we really been very blessed to have been led by Mr. Sanghi, and we look forward to his continued support and suggestions. And I would also request we will be looking forward to support from you, sir, Mr. Vinod Agarwal as well. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. If we could now move to the PowerPoint for the felicitation of the key industry members. We are very blessed to have a continuous support from our very, very esteemed industry members. And I'll start with Mr. Pradeep Kapse, PK Kapse sir, as we call him. He's ex-MD Eicher Motors, and he's been continuously supporting us in terms of the work that we are doing. I would request Kapse sir to say a few words here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ASDC. I think it has been a beautiful journey, and my entry in the ASDC also was very interesting. That I used to go for a walk in the morning, and the ex-CEO, Mr. Sunil Chaturvedi, used to be there, and we will talk about what is happening in the skill side, and he wanted me to share some experiences in ASDC. And finally, it happened that he moved to the new office, and he said, "Why don't you come and talk to our people?" And I reached there, and then onwards, I think I have been a regular face there at ASDC. But I think, thank you very much. The journey was very interesting when we started. In 2013, the QPs were made, and our task as industry to see that they are updated. And particularly with the new technologies coming in and all the development that has taken place over the last 4 or 5 years. And thanks to the team from industry who came, and we had to reconstruct the QPs, and we divided the entire manufacturing into 13 verticals like casting, forging, machining, assembly, painting, etc., etc. And in each of them, we first focus on QPs from level 2 to 4, and then 5 to 6. And I think many hours were spent, and I'm very happy to see current situation where lots of QPs have been approved, and they are very much updated. They are very comprehensive. And if worked upon, I think they will definitely help in improving the quality of the skilled people coming out through ASDC system. So a lot of thanks to the entire team of ASDC, particularly Garima, who was a fantastic coordinator for us and played a very active role in ensuring that industry people were there when we discussed all the QPs. And it has been many days. So it's good about work of 3-4 years that is fructifying now. I'm very proud of the team. I'm very proud of myself, and I'm very proud of ASDC that we have been able to do such a good job for the industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. We now have next Mr. Sanjay Gupta. He is the Vice President, Customer Care, Mahindra. He is the Vice President, Customer Care for Mahindra and Mahindra. And Sanjay sir has been very helpful on our service group presentations. I'll move to the next one. Mr. L. Sitaraman, he is the head CSR for Maruti Suzuki India Limited. He's been very supportive in our expert group for the road transportation group. Sitaraman sir, your quick words, if it can. Yeah.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Lahiri. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So thank you for the introduction. At the outset, I would like to congratulate ASDC for the achievements in the field of skill development over the past 10 years. It has indeed been a great honor to be a part of the industry expert group at ASDC. I would like to thank ASDC for giving Maruti Suzuki and me this opportunity to contribute to skill development and road safety. I would say that whatever we have been able to achieve is due to the very good collaboration and teamwork between ASDC and all the industry partners. So I would like to thank all the industry partners who have been part of this group over the last few years, which has enabled us to come out with all these QPs. And I would say I'm looking forward to contributing more in this area in future. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We'll move over to the next leader from as a chairperson of the EV group is Mr. KC Vora. Dr. Vora, as everyone knows him, is the Senior Deputy Director and Head of ARI Academy and Knowledge Center. Dr. Vora, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lahiri. I remember the day when we signed the MOU between ARI and ASDC on 24th July 2019 in Delhi. And thereafter, I was named the chairman of the ASDC expert group on EV on 18 November 2019. It has been less than 2 years, but in this 2 years, we have developed 10 QPs related to EV. And later on, we merged some of the QPs and made 7 QPs, and out of which I'm very happy to announce that NSDC has approved 6 and NCVT has approved 4. And I'm sure by end of this year, we will be able to get all 7 approved. Besides that, we have also started the training program. We did one TOT program, train the trainer program with UK. And we did a couple of them with Symbiosis, and training programs are going on. ARI has also declared 2 training programs based on the QP for EV test engineer and EV design engineer. And the very strong support from all the partners, SIAM, ECMA, and other partners of ASDC, and the support from ASDC itself through Mr. Arindam, through Garima, and through the entire team of ASDC is extraordinary. I have never seen such an organization who is so friendly and who is so positive that whenever I ask for anything, it's all available, it's all granted. And they have been very, very supportive to take this forward. I can see the positivity in all the organizations through the ministry. And I can see that, yes, we will be able to do a lot of training in the field of electric mobility. And I am sure that our target given by Niti Aayog, our think tank, to have penetration of electric vehicle of around 30% by 2030. We are just at 1% today. In the next 9 years, we have to reach 30% penetration, and we can see this support, whether it is through FAME or whether it is through skill development. Everywhere I can see that positivity and look forward to work more in this area. Thank you very much.
Sir. Thank you, sir. And congratulations to all of you for your continuous support. Sanjay ji, if you are there and if we could have a few words from you as well. I know you've been traveling, but you still managed to join. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Arindam, and good afternoon, everyone. A team comprising members from various auto OEMs and also original equipment suppliers work together to develop and refine the curriculum for the auto industry skilling. So it was an excellent collaborative work, and I think they delivered as per expectation of the CEO ASDC and also the President ASDC, Nikunj Sanghi. So I would like to thank both of you, Nikunji and Arindam, for creating a very, very enabling environment which allowed the team to deliver. We have only made the first steps. I think a lot has to be done, and I'm sure under the new president, Mr. Agarwal, and the new team that comes on, we'll be seeing very, very many great steps to be taken that will make the auto skill something that's been spoken as a very, very bright example in the skilling environment. So thank you very much, ASDC. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And we will also we'll also like to recognize the work done by several individuals in these various expert groups in their individual capacity for the organizations that they represent. And I would like to name them here these are some of the people who have been exceedingly regular and supportive for our efforts. Mr. Sudhanshu Padi, DGM, Hero Motocorp. Mr. Rajiv Sharma, CGM, Head Skill Development at JBM Group. Mr. Sachin Dua, Manager Sales Training and SSI Hyundai Motor India Limited. Mr. Atishay Jain, Director, Fightron Mobility Private Limited, ZX Tata Dealership. Mr. Vinod Joshi, General Manager, Training and Technical Support at Mahindra & Mahindra. Mr. Dinesh Suji, Senior Manager, Product Training, TVS Motors. Ms. Meetu Sharma, National Parts Wholesale Manager, Ford India. Mr. P. Mohammed Ali, DGM Head, Driver Training at Ashok Leyland. Mr. Ajay Gupta, Senior Manager, V Commercial Vehicles Limited. Dr. Pramila Sanjay, Honorable Advisor and Global Representative for the Society for Integrated Development Activities, Research and Training, SIDART. Mr. Nikhil R. Shimpi, Training Coordinator, Automotive Research Association of India. Mr. Alok Das, Director, Head and COO, Revolta Motors Private Limited. We thank you all for your continued support and continued inputs in terms of developing our qualifications and also working and validating on our content and curriculum for training. We would like to acknowledge your support and look forward to the same going forward. We now have our 10-year commemorative booklet launch. We'll do a hybrid launch. We'll first do a virtual launch, and then we'll do a physical launch at the conference room. So if you can just play the commemorative book launch video, please. Thank you. Thank you. And if we could have a physical unveiling of the book at the conference room, and after that, Shikha, you can take over. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at in the conference room, we have our 10 booklet with us, and that is it. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everybody. May I request everybody to please kindly take up your seats, and thank you so very much. Well, moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen.
Shikha, you are muted. Yeah.
I'm still learning the art of the new technology here. All right. So moving ahead, we have our chief guest with us, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Nirmaljeet Singh Kalsi, a member of Indian Administrative Services IAS batch 1984 Punjab cadre, superannuation in June 2019 as additional CS, Home Affairs and Justice, Government of Punjab after 39 years of unblemished public service. Served in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India for 7 years as Joint Secretary and Additional Secretary to Government of India. Well, ladies and gentlemen, over to you. So thank you so very much, Kalsi sir. And may I request you to please kindly appear on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for inviting me on this occasion of annual conclave of Automotive Skill Development Council 2021. Mr. Nikunj Sangi, outgoing President, ASDC, Mr. Vinod Agrawalji, President ASDC, is going to take over. Mr. FR Singhvi, Vice President ASDC, Mr. Vinkesh Gulatiji, Treasurer, Mr. Arindam Lahriji, CEO. I am extremely grateful that you have given me this opportunity to address you on this occasion, great occasion of your conclave. ASDC, as I understand, is one of the first sector skill council of India, which was promoted by the automobile industry in a very, very coordinated fashion. And all the big partners, all the big associations, they are very much part and parcel of this sector skill council. Let me add that this is one of the best working sector skill councils which we have. And often when we have to tell somebody as to how to develop qualifications, we send them some of the qualifications now developed by the Auto Sector Skill Council. So it's a very good feeling when I'm talking to you all. Now, automotive industry is one of the main driving forces for the Indian economy, presently accounting for 7%. Direct and indirect employment generation of 19 million people. Now, this is going to go up in the near future, and we hope that it is going to contribute up to 12% of the Indian GDP and 40% of the manufacturing sector as a whole. Now, all of us, we are aware of the Automotive Mission Plan, that is AMP 2026, which aims to propel the Indian automotive industry to be the engine of Make in India program, as it is amongst the foremost drivers of the manufacturing sector. Now, having said that, disruptive changes brought in by the technology advancement, they are rapidly changing the current job landscape with the impact of ranging from technology, from job creation to job displacement, to increased workforce productivity, to widening of the skill gap. And the pace of change in technology and changing consumer demand patterns, they are leading to potential skill gaps. Now, the future workforce will need to work on a series of non-routine tasks that would require social intelligence, complex, critical, and creative thinking, problem solving to remain relevant in any industry, and especially in the auto industry. The upcoming wave of automation, Industry 4.0 and beyond, entail a shift towards the skill sets that are technically advanced and knowledge intensive. Now, besides increasing technological maturity and emergence of sharing economy, the need for environmental protection has been one of the key drivers in the Indian perspective. Now, we are all aware about the emerging technologies. Now, I have been discussing with the Automotive Sector Skill Council some of the technologies which I would like to specifically mention here: additive manufacturing technologies, 3D printing, advanced mechatronics, then application technicians, predictive automotive maintenance technicians, then mobile device machine control operator, then self-learning robots engineers, industrial big data analysts, charging station designers, then modularized production engineers, autonomous vehicle manufacturing and services, augmented reality system engineers, real-time optimization specialists. So these are some of the areas now where you would need more manpower. Now, as per one of the recent reports from Niti Aayog, if we successfully implement our government initiative, that could help the EV sales penetration of about 30% of the private cars, 70% of commercial cars, 40% of buses, and more than 80% of two-wheelers and three-wheelers by 2030. And we could be the potential supplier for the third world countries. So that all of us know, we are convinced about it. The auto sector encompasses rural, semi-urban, and urban demands, ranging from two-wheelers, electric rickshaws, to high-end four-wheelers. It caters to manufacturing and upkeep of public transport vehicles and the trucks, which cater to the logistics of the economy. The penetrative and basic vehicle upkeep is another major area where the skilled workforce is required across all sectors. There is also a high scope for skilling of micro entrepreneurs and nano entrepreneurs, especially for the unorganized sector, especially for the rural areas, which could work as a backbone for servicing and repairs. The integration of automotive skills with school education curricula is another promising area, especially for the budding engineers and service providers. Also, for every student now, it is very important to learn the true skills for driving. Right now, in the past, what has been happening, all of us, we know how we used to get the driving licenses. But this is the time when we correct that aberration. The National Education Policy 2020 encourages skill education, starting from 6th grade onward, and a serious education in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And this is where the Auto Sector Skill Council can play a very important role. Apprenticeship in the sector is key, as the many skill sets can cut across trades, subsectors in the automotive sectors, and have a high component of on-the-job training attached. The skilling in the auto sector should also focus on the aspects of upskilling, reskilling, and to attain higher scope along with approved skills. Now, this is an area of multi-skilling where multidisciplinary learning like automation, 3D printing, etc. is given, and also multi-sectoral skilling where more than one sectors are involved. Unless more than one sectors are involved, the skill is not complete. In the end, I would say the automotive Skill Development Council, is a proactive member among the sector skill councils, and has been taking making concerted effort to periodically update the skills required in this sector and include industry standards on Industry 4.0 and beyond. The focus needs to be on the opportunities that exist at the level of the OEMs, including the MSME sector and the demand of skilled workforce. Now, I'm very proud to share that this Sector Skill Council has so far aligned 189 qualifications to NSQF, more than 250 training partners, more than 1,000 plus training centers, and 800 certified trainers and assessors. I'm very happy, and I congratulate all of you. Now, I would like to congratulate all the members of the industry who have been facilitated today. And I would also like to congratulate the incoming president. And I hope that whatever assistance, whatever support you require from NCBT would also always be forthcoming. And you will always find us looking at every proposal very positively and in a very supportive manner. Thank you so very much. Thank you again for inviting me to share my views. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Kalsi. Thank you so very much. And a virtual round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much. Well, moving ahead in today's event, we have two panel discussion, as I've already mentioned. Moving towards the first one, which will be moderated on the topic Automotive Skill Development Ecosystem, Future Forward. And the charge will be taken by somebody who became a part of the automotive industry when it was at a very nascent stage in India. Over the past 3 decades, he has contributed to the establishment and growth of Indian automotive industry. Worked with Bajaj Auto, Maruti Suzuki, Mahindra in the past already. He has been deeply involved in areas such as sales, after sales, brand building, strategy, marketing, retail, network expansion and development, rural marketing, as well as formulating strategies for the growth. He is the perfect moderator for this discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as I welcome our moderator for this session, Mr. Arun Malhotra, ex-MD, Nissan India. Sir, a very warm welcome and over to you.
Thank you, Shikha. Thank you, Shikha. It's a pleasure and privilege to be amongst industry leaders in the Asdc Conclave. And forwarding this panel discussion for today is the Automotive Skill Development Ecosystem, Future Forward. Can I see all the panelists on the screen, or can we have all the panelists on screen? So the topic is Automotive Skill Development Ecosystem, Future Forward. And a lot of people said, why it is called Future Forward? Why can't it be called Fast Forward? So obviously, there is a lot happening in the auto ecosystem. One of all the bigger changes which is happening is the entire transformation, or I would say the tectonic shift in the automotive industry. And this has been further accelerated by the COVID. So we have the IC engines, and now we used to have a mechanical engineering branch, and now we have a mechatronics, and now a lot of IT has got incorporated. So there is a complete transformation with the type of technology getting incorporated in the vehicle, and this transformation will continue. So we are in the thrust, or we can say the cusp of a major change. And it's not only impacted one segment, it impacts the entire research and development, it impacts supply chain, it impacts production, it impacts marketing and sales, it impacts customer acquisition, and it impacts the dealer interface between the company and the dealer. So when we are doing this, we will see that how do we skill people across segments, and the number of people who are part of the auto ecosystem across segments run into millions. To discuss this point, we have a very illustrious panel. We have Mr. Mohan Kolatkar, who's the MD for Gabriel India and the group CEO for the Anand Group. We have Mr. Manas Agarwal, who's the co-founder and CEO of Affine Technology. This is an analytics company which is into machine learning, analytics, and also into business intelligence. We have a foreign guest, Mr. Tim Miller, joining straight from Germany, who's a co-founder and MD of Certif ID. And we have Mr. Dr. Biswajit Saha, who's a Director, Training and Skill Development in the Central Board of Secondary Education, which has to focus on catch them young. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Vinkesh Gulati, who's the President of FADA, that is the Federation Automobile Dealers Association, but voice of the customer, voice of the market, and voice of the dealer. Should I say more? So we'll start the discussion right away. Coming to Mr. Koletkar, since we are talking this transformation and your company has been the forefront of whether in key critical components across the value chain, across products. And this would be development in terms of R&D, in terms of supply chain, in terms of manufacturing, because the components, the key components go into the vehicles. How do you see, what are the challenges and opportunities you see from your perspective today, as we stand today, that if we have to really move to top gear in this entire business of skilling on a national level? Over to you, Mr. Koletkar.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Arunji, and thanks everybody. Thanks for allowing me to be on the panel. Thanks my co-panelists. After all those wonderful addresses by everybody, especially Kalsi Saab, I think it opened up our perspective also. So Arunji, coming to your question, I think because of this changing world that is happening, so the automotive industry is currently being shaped by several mega trends. If I put it very simply. One is, of course, the evolving customer expectations. They're always evolving, but the pace at which they are evolving now is so very different. Now when a customer actually goes, before he or she buys a car or a scooter, he's done all the research on the net, decided the specs that he or she wants, decided the price levels. So he's much more educated before he goes to the customer. So that is one trend that is happening in the automotive industry. Second trend is, the disruptive technology. We are all seeing, we just heard, most of the speakers earlier, we are seeing what we call the ACEs, or the autonomous, connected, electric, and shared, vehicles. So this in itself is such a huge tsunami of changes for all of us that, this is also shaping the way the industry is changing. So I'm just setting the context of how this folds, into the changes needed in the skill levels of the industry. The third important change that is happening is the change in the regulatory environment. Now we have just made that, literally huge shift to BS6 norms so very successfully as a country and as an industry. That has also, is forcing some change in terms of skill levels. Then, of course, the globally connected nature, especially post-COVID. We were always connected. We all know we were always connected even before COVID. But now, like we are having this conference today, like I keep telling, geography is now history. There is no geography left. There are no boundaries left. I can be at this moment any place, anytime. So that's the good part of COVID has been this. So with all these mega trends that are helping shape the industry, it is putting, of course, a huge challenge in terms of the industry. So what were the erstwhile skills that automotive industry needed? Automotive industry employs close to, the figures change, but direct, indirect employment put together is almost 40 million. And in fact, the automotive mission plan envisages this going to 65 million. So it's a huge employment generator. So if you see the skills that were existing in the past of, say, I'll just talk about very simple skills like, let's say, welding technologies, fabrication technologies. Tomorrow, with the advent of 3D manufacturing, all this suddenly just goes. You don't need any welding or fabrication because you get a finished product in one shot. So all these, new changes that are happening are certainly putting challenges and making the earlier skills redundant. So we as an industry will have to see how, Dr. Kalsi said it beautifully. So I was only talking of, new skills getting added, but he also added two new terms called reskilling and multi-skilling. I think we should not only look at, learning new skills, but also upskilling, reskilling, multi-skilling. I think that will ensure that this huge workforce that we have remains gainfully employed going forward in the future. So this is, of course, one big challenge and an opportunity. And while you also mentioned on the opportunities, I would see that this huge requirement of workforce is a great opportunity, and we should try to see how can we unlock women employment. I think there's a huge potential there. It will be a great deed, a great, inclusive growth that we'll achieve by having more and more women join the workforce. In fact, in Anand Group, as you know, we have a policy of 30% women. In fact, in one of my plants in up north, I've got 50% women on the shop floor in the automotive component company. So it can be done. So this is another opportunity that I see definitely possible.
So Mr. Golkar, you mentioned 2-3 interesting terms. You said the tsunami of changes. I hope the tsunami is mentioned in the positive sense. The tsunami generally comes with that change.
Absolutely positive.
And one is you mentioned 40 million. That's the population of Australia and New Zealand combined. I mean, it's more than that. So
Yes.
that's a huge task.
Yeah.
Coming to you, Vinkesh, you're speaking from ground zero, if I may use the term, in the positive sense. And, our dealer network or the customers are across the 750 districts, the so many tehsils and about 5 lakh villages. And, if you have to change this entire thing, this major tsunami changes happening, where do we stand? I mean, where do you see the opportunities? I mean, I'm sure there will be a lot of challenges and there will be opportunities. From your perspective, from the voice of the dealer, what do you see the big challenges and the big opportunities today?
Thanks, Arunji. Really pertinent question. And as a dealer, as an association, we are always thinking and planning how to handle this because one, the change is evident and it is happening faster than what we can think of. And COVID has actually been a catalyst, or you can say pushed all our training, as word rightly said by Mr. is becoming redundant now. So I don't know how many pre-words we'll use in skilling, reskilling, unskilling, or multi-skilling. I don't know. But overall, the thing is now the customer has become more knowledgeable than any person in the sales team in a dealership or even the manufacturer. So the kind of research a customer does and come to a dealership is phenomenal. And he has a lot of time, and Google and his smartphones are help. So in the current situation where the physical is being shifted to phygital, and people are now started talking of digital first and then physical later. So a lot of new things are coming up lately. And as customer expectations are also changing, knowledge is also changing, and a lot of manufacturers are trying to shift most of things digitally. Like Maruti just announced, out of the 26 customer touch point, 24 has been digitalized. So basically only 2 left, which you can say the physical delivery or even the RTO work, the registration, that's it. So think of a salesman who has always thought that once a customer comes in, he has to give a story, he has to prepare a story to make a good relationship with the customer, where he was used to talk to him like a chacha or a dada, how are you, and offering him chai within a cooler and make him feel home. And on the other hand, now we are expecting the same salesman to not even think like that and think like this, that the customer has come researching something from the website which would not be even genuine. So he has to think from that side and take him to a process through that in a process so that he can prove that whatever information he has is right or wrong. So obviously a lot of skilling is needed. I feel as per me, digital skilling is the need of the hour and the future for auto retail. Sir said it right. India is still a country of young people. So how to catch them young, that is a biggest thinking what we have to do. And coincidentally, we also have to consider that normally a job at a dealership is not the very ambitious thing for a person who is studying till 12th or even graduation. So with Asdc, with FADA, we have to create a face change also, image change also, where we can inspire them to come into auto, whereas there are a lot of people who earn a lot. And frankly, the women involvement is also less as compared to other industries in auto. So if you talk about dealership, there's no such exact figure, but maybe we are having around 10-15% of women involved in the dealership, and those are also post specific. So you'll want all the receptionists, ICREs, and majorly being women, and all the rest jobs are for males, except for some of very rare dealership where you can find somebody. So all the things.
Yeah. So, Vinkesh, what you're telling is that, from a person who gave knowledge, or person who was the repository of knowledge, whether in terms of sales and after sales. Today, customers comes with knowledge, and some of the knowledge is open to question even because he can come from different sites. So he has to play the role of facilitator. And there are various jobs which are getting redefined. And this is across the length and breadth of the country. So it's a challenge which you see, but it's an opportunity. And you said digitization is the lever, because physically if you start going across, it's not going to be possible.
And one thing more, sir, I feel going further, along with the skilling, the artificial intelligence will also change a lot in this, in our segment. So if we are aware, if a salesman is aware how to, through artificial intelligence, knows the customer even before his walk-in or by tele-in, I feel he'll be a lot more easy to handle a customer or make him comfortable or make him delighted. So maybe skilling on that side as well.
So Venkesh, you rightly said, you talked about digitization and you talked about artificial. So it should be music to the ears to my next two panelists. Manas, you present in analytics, and you talk of using machine learning, using business intelligence, using entire artificial intelligence into you. So how does the hand holding happen? That what are the skills which in analytics, machine learning, which look very esoteric now still for any normal person, how they can fast forward this revolution? What are you seeing the skills and opportunities? The opportunities and the challenges. I'm sure there are challenges, but there will be opportunities from your perspective, Manas. Manas, you're on mute. I think you have to. Manas, you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
It feels like Manas has unmuted, but we are not able to hear him.
So Manas, I'm not able to hear you. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, he looks on unmute, but we're not getting his voice. Manas, we'll come back to you if you don't mind. We'll try to set the audio correct. So we'll wait for 2 minutes. We'll jump straight to our friend Tim Miller, who's speaking from Germany. Which city in Germany you are, Tim, at this point of time?
I'm in Cologne in Germany.
Oh, beautiful city. I wish we were all there. We are not in the best of climate, but now the flights opening up and the restrictions getting, so we should more go to Germany. Your company, which I saw the very interesting thing, and I've seen in your background even blockchain digital certification. And you talk to applicants who want to increase their skills. You talk to the recruiters, and you talk to also companies who have applied and institutions who want to raise the skills. So when you look at these three, and you have looked at markets across boundaries, because we've got some Indian experience and we've been working with Asdc. What do you think the opportunities and challenges, and what can organizations like your do to contribute to this fast forward, or furious forward, however we call it, or future forward?
Furious forward. Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you for the invitation, and to the panelists as well. So I think it is, as already mentioned, it's an incredibly interesting time for the automotive industry, both in terms of challenges of the supply chain up and downstream, in terms of managing changes, managing new technologies that are coming into the industry. And what we tend to see in different markets when we look at job data, and particularly starting with that, is that we see that there's a real focus on two key areas in terms of new job roles and new opportunities that are being sort of developed within the automotive industry. And the way we kind of differentiate it is, when you look at the automotive industry in particular, I think there are two key focal points. One is to ensure continued profitability of an existing business, which is ever increasingly challenging. And the second is to ensure that there's investment in new technologies that can support long-term growth based on the mega trends that have already been mentioned by panelists previously. And within that, what you see from a skilling perspective is a couple of things. I think one, you see that from an existing business perspective, new technologies play a major role in automation and optimization. So the skill sets that you're looking at from an existing day-to-day business are all linked to how do you improve efficiency, how do you streamline processes, and how do you, at the end of the day, make your existing business as profitable and streamlined as possible. And I think there are a lot of different skills that are becoming hugely in demand to make that happen, from data analytics and AI, as mentioned, through to process automation, and also ways of thinking, so more softer skills around critical thinking and so on. And if you look at job market data internationally, those are the types of skill sets that seem to be increasingly in demand when you're looking at existing business models. The second component is how do you develop new business, and huge disruption in the market in terms of new skills that are required to enable businesses to develop new technologies, new businesses, new ways of running their operations, which require significantly new skills in every form, from sales, which we heard of before. So how do you sell an electric vehicle or a fleet service portfolio over a traditional diesel engine, for example? How do you bring new electric vehicle technicians in? How do you bring robotics into manufacturing and so on? All of these new skill sets that drive that business forward. And I think what we tend to see now is that the way of hiring is significantly changing to skill-based hiring. And I think that that's something that ASDC is also working significantly towards as well, is that changing landscape of how industry is looking to bring talent into an organization. It's less about a degree and a formal educational background. It's, do you have a specific skill set that I need to help my business take a step forward? So I think that's something where skill-based hiring is becoming more and more common in different international markets. I think the other thing that was mentioned before is cross-sectoral skills and multi-skilling. Yeah? So it's been mentioned a couple of times already. Fully agree. I think it's really important. And what is changing is you're going to find less and less roles that are fixed. Yeah, so your job every day is to weld XYZ together. Yeah, it's going to be a completely different landscape going forward, where your role will change depending on the drivers within the business from day to day, month to month, hour to hour. So you need a cross-sectoral or cross-divisional skill set, again, driven by skills, that can help you be most effective in your operation. And to sum it, final point there, I think upskilling is so important now, because you need to support existing workforce, or the existing workforce, to find and develop those new skills that might be very narrow in nature, but very specific, that help them remain relevant within the automotive industry and transition from one career to another job role and so on within the automotive sector.
So Tim, you mentioned 2-3 very interesting points. You said that disruption, which is happening, and how you're using data. But upskilling and reskilling are important, and you have to make it easier. Because if you make the upskilling and reskilling more difficult for the person who's already have different skills, it will become a challenge. And you said, how can the skill set be more focused on employment? Because there has been a bridge and gap. We'll be discussing this, that a gap between what we teach and what is required in industry or employment. So that is something being specific, very focused, but along with it, it has to be cross-sectoral.
Correct.
Manas, what Tim mentioned, I mean, you deal with analytics. I mean, that's your main area. And you are using machine learning, you're using artificial intelligence, and you're using business monitoring of business intelligence. Where can these entire skills, and this is, I mean, technology agnostics, can help in the automotive movement forward for skilling from your perspective? Manas, we're still not able to hear you. We're not able to.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, now you're audible. I think sometimes more technology play makes life more difficult. So yes, without the headphone, it's easier.
That's where some bit of upskilling is required.
Yeah.
So, my apologies for the disruption, and this is such an august panel. I was actually not feeling this uncomfortable being mute, because I could learn a lot, by staying silent in this august kind of a gathering. But I think there's a very pertinent, moment in our history as a nation, as humanity, that when different panelists have talked about tsunami of changes, demand driven, supply driven, innovation driven, technology driven. I think change has always been there, and it has been rather slow, and hence generations have taken time to upskill themselves. We have moved from steam engine to IC engine, but it took over a period of couple of centuries. So it was okay. You get time to upskill. Now the same person has to upskill himself or herself at least 4 to 5 times at the minimum, I would say. And it's moving in a direction where it has to become continuous upskilling. You can't, really take a degree, a certified skill, and then rest on it for the next 35 years. So I think, that is a paradigm shift wherein, a lot of unlearning of, upskilling has to be done. The attitude towards learning has to change. It's not that I learn something today, it'll last me for the next, 45 years. Also, what needs to really change is how the industry also absorbs this, upskilling. So instead of probably looking at certification based employment, as Tim mentioned, if it will be more and more skill based employment, I think it would encourage people to learn new skills, because for everything, if they have to undergo a certification, that would become quite a challenge, right? So I think while challenges are there, plenty of opportunities have been created by the same technology. Education has become very democratized. The same Google that makes the customers think that they know everything. And, Vinkesh sir definitely mentioned the customers walk in. I have been a customer myself of one particular vehicle, and I thought that I know everything. Thankfully, I listened to my, salesperson there, and I learned a few things. But I think technology has made education available to everyone in bite-sized pieces. You don't have to really go to a college. You don't have to leave a job. All you need to do is spend some time with guidance, without guidance, self-paced in bite-sized pieces. So, 2 or 3 things that I would definitely recommend to everybody looking at upskilling. One is that it is no more a choice, right? It's no more a one and done thing. It is available, only you need to change your attitude. And the next thing is, don't be afraid of any technology. And Arun sir, you talked about the handshake. I think the handshake will happen only if you take your hand forward. So I think, I would encourage everyone that AI, in the background, it works. It gives you a new interface like voice chat. You don't need to understand exactly, not everybody needs to understand how does the voice chat AI work. But if you know how this new interface of voice chat works, I think you can make your life a different value chain very, very, successful. And the interesting thing is that the automotive industry, the value chain spans from practically the raw material coming to the hardcore manufacturing, to sales, insurance, everything, which is very, very much more digital heavy, to earlier part, which is much more physical heavy. And, one of my fellow panelists spoke about the ACEs. Interestingly, I was just trying to take a note that all these, 4 key trends are driven by AI, right? So I think at some level, people need to start getting a AI data analytics literacy to conversance, become conversant with it. And then as a user, become master of it. And trust me, the way the country has responded to fintech, especially the UPI, the digital payment, e-commerce as a mode of retail, I think, small, medium enterprises, small shopkeepers, sellers, buyers in every nook and corner of India, they have adopted to it very, very fast. So I am definitely very.
So Manas, you are very hopeful. And 2 things which you mentioned is the democratization of education.
Yes.
Education can be self-learning or could be with some guidance. And then you mentioned this attitude to learning, which has to change. I mean, change is inevitable. If you don't have an attitude to learn, that's the first change you have to bring in. Then other things can come in. And the technology, you said, well, you don't have to master technology. You only have to learn the interface of the technology, which is generally much simpler. So clearly quite hopeful. And you said technology is driven. I mean, India has clearly shown it, whether it's the Aadhaar card, whether it's our COVID campaign, or whether it is new initiative which has now been announced for health. So there is no reason why we cannot use technology. And since people understand, to embrace it and to use technology in the interface. Coming to Dr. Saha, I've been part of the CBSE. I mean, used to have the concept of physics, chemistry, maths, physics, chemistry, biology, or commerce subjects. But now I'm hearing a new buzz. The buzz is having skills, having courses, having programs which are specific to certain fields and industry. And what is happening? What are the challenges, opportunities? Because this is an eye-opener. What is happening through, and when the way I would put it, the slogan has to be catch them young. You can catch them in colleges, universities or companies, they're already 20. But when you catch them in school, in 9th, 10th class, they're 13, 14. So I just want to understand the opportunities and the challenges from your perspective for young minds. So we are talking from the mind of people who are at 14, 15.
Yeah. Thank you, Arunji. And I think it's great to listen all the eminent thought leader. And I think you have given a kind of narrative from blockchain to AI technology, and at the same time, our automotive industry's requirement are being reflected in last few minutes. I was listening, all of you, including Kalsi sir, who is again a thought leader in this area, instrumental to bring that ecosystems in differently. So as far as Central Board of Secondary Education is concerned, that way we are the premier board which is offering vocational program at school level. And rather, again, new education policy has given us a roadmap to start and also catch them young, that fundamentally we are now aligning the curriculum right from the class 6 onwards. So
class 6.
Yeah, class 6 to 8, our notional objective is to orient them with respect to the career, and also giving some instrumental activities which is essentially catering 10 to 15 hours of module. It ranges from design thinking to tourism, artificial intelligence to coding, data science, and in fact, this financial literacy and other life skills, we categorically try to open. So at present, only 8 subjects we are offering at that level, but maybe with the help of NCBT and Skill Ministry, we are going to propel these things at least 30 by next 2 years. So that is our target. Now, from secondary level, that is from class 9 to 12, we are offering 9 and 10. That is for team. I think we closely also work with German industry also, and I am very happy to see you, and more opportunity we can open in Indian school in terms of propelling the issue. So 9 and 10, we are offering 19 subjects. And all broad professional career oriented subjects are being included, besides the subjects like retail, the subjects like our, again, artificial intelligence is quite common, IT is quite common, media studies. So all leading domain like hospitality, all food productions, front office operation, and subject like your healthcare, general duty assistance. So these things, including these sectoral representations, which I think Arindam ji is eager to hear, that automotive as a subjects are being offered from class 9 in CBSE school.
Okay,
so
great.
It's a full-fledged subject at class 9 as well as in class 11 and 12.
Mr. Saha,
yeah,
you have just totally floored us. For me, we thought that we were aware what's happening in the environment. At least I can say I was unaware that the subjects we are talking of, design thinking, financial skills, artificial intelligence, healthcare, and starting from 6, and you say 6 subjects, 20, 30, that's a game changer. That's a game changer. And as they say, whether it's catching sportsmen, Olympians, or now even getting skills, start young, you do it better. So that's something absolutely outstanding.
Yes. So including, as you have mentioned, sports. So we are offering sports activity trainer curriculum also at secondary level and senior secondary level. Now, at senior secondary level, we have a baskets of 39 subjects. And predominantly, it is catering each and every field of professional occupation. Mostly we try to cater whether it is agriculture or whether it is new technology, emerging area of technology like your electronics, ICT, AI, all emerging areas we try to cater. And CBSE is the first board, I can officially claim, in the world which introduced artificial intelligence as a school curriculum.
So, Mr. Saha, Dr. Saha, what you are saying, I am only hope that you don't make the colleges redundant. The way you are speaking of subjects, we'll straight go into jobs at the age of 16, 18, because if you're starting, and I mean, it's on the lighter side, but this is something unique. Building blocks, because these are building blocks for the future. I'm just jumping here because we have just 10 to 15 minutes left.
Okay,
and,
okay.
You know,
So you can take the floor, because let me pause here with one sentence, maybe one. Give me 1 minute. So what we want, my expectations of joining this session is all those thought leaders. I think now, as our minister is also heading education and skill together, and this is first time in the history of a country when skill and education is working together. Now,
so you know,
there is a game changer activities is happening. What we want, we have already a model called hub of learning. Means each hub is consists of 4 to 5 schools, and they are collaboratively working. There we want on the top of it how industry can merge with this hub, how the academic institute of higher learning can be merged, so that we can create a cohort through which
Dr. Saha, you're taking words away from mouth. We're coming to the second round on this only topic which you're talking of.
Fine,
so, you know, you've talked a clear
let me
thing
pause,
is,
stop here. Yeah. You continue.
I mean, that's something music to our ears. I mean, now coming to, you've heard people across the ecosystem. Mr. Koletkar, now we're coming to just 2-3 basic points, because, you know, if all these things have to happen together, skilling to education, because generally there was assumption in our universities, you know, there's a Mark Twain saying, East is East and West is West, never the twain shall meet. It is to set of education and type of skills required in the industry, but that twain is meeting, it's intermingling. If the various people in the part of the ecosystem, and I'm taking the ecosystem is becoming large, there's a government, then there is manufacturing units, then there are industry associations, then there are dealerships, then there are customers, then there's a last but not the least starting young CBSE. How this needs to integrate? I think that's something, a question I just want to understand from my mind. How will this integration happen?
Yeah, Arunji, so firstly, I think what Dr. Shah just mentioned, really, like you said, is music to all our ears. I think that's really a fantastic thing. If you're trying to, catch them young and, grow this interest in them right from 6th standard, that will be, I think, really a game changer. And I think the industry will be only too happy to help in any way. Now, Arunji, coming to your, while the schooling aspect is something, really innovative and brilliant, but as an industry, we can definitely collaborate. I'll just share with you some examples that we have done. Maybe we have not succeeded entirely, but we did collaborate with local colleges in engineering, in diploma. We tried to actually change their curriculum to make them more employable. Not to be employable in let's say in our industry, but to make them more employable. We actually worked with Japanese professors in fact with help of CIA, JICA. We changed the curriculum to make them contributing positively from day one when they join. So because there's a big gap between the college and the industry. So we have tried to bridge that.
So you talked about that curriculum which is there. So
yes,
taking over institutions or guiding institutions or even formulating the courses or modulating the courses which you talk about.
Absolutely. I think that's something that industry can very well do, and colleges are very receptive now. Yeah.
So that's something. Coming to Vinkesh, it's all said and done in the large companies, large organizations, but dealerships are small organizations. There are people of between 40 to 100, and they are spread across districts. How do you see, what is your wish list? What is your vision and wish list that this transformation can happen? What collaboration do you require?
Basically, sir, thanks to Dr. Saha and ASDC to have me in this panel discussion. It's a news to me and music to me. So what we want as dealer, what we want is that if a 12th or a 10th year student is studying auto retail in details, it helps us a lot, because like I told you, there is no course of a sales consultant or something like that which is needed in the dealership. So as per me, we had always looked up to ASDC to change that image of good employment in auto retail. And ASDC was using the skilling part to have the interest inculcated in today's teenagers and students. With CBSE coming up with such courses, I'm happy that it will be more easy to do from the ASDC side and the association side. So, boss, so as a dealer would always want that if he gives an advertisement, there should be good people who want to join us. So we shouldn't be the fourth or the fifth type of job to do in future. So overall, with the current importance given by our Pradhan Modi ji on the skilling and with the ASDC pressure and CBSE, I feel it's not very far off when auto retail will also become an inspirational job, and it will be easy for us to find people. Arunji, you are on mute, please.
So auto industry or auto retail, you wanted to make it aspirational and getting people on the ground, getting people from that market, from that area, because you can't transport people or you can't shift people from one to another place, because that's another challenge which you say. So clearly you're looking at the government's initiative, but this has to coincide and work, collaborate together. Coming to you, Manas, analytics company like yours or similar companies like yours, what are things, what do you expect from industry? Because we are talking of Unison. We are taking of, if I use the old terminology of engineering, synchromesh, although we are talking automatic gears now or automatic transmission. How do you synchromesh the activities of various stakeholders? And what is your expectation? And when I say expectation, I would also say what you are able to do, because as Kennedy said, don't ask what the country will do, but you ask what you can do for the country. So bring it from both perspectives.
No, you just made it slightly tougher. But anyway, I think, as you rightly said, unless, there's a meeting of both the hands, a handshake won't happen. So I think what is required from an industry like automotive, and again, the vastness of the value chain is really impressive. I mean, we talk about, raw materials to manufacturing, to supply chain, to sales, marketing, everything being under the hood. I think, what is required from is a collaboration between the industry and people who can create that set of, learnings to understand how any of these abstract learnings, for example, people talk about AI or about coding. We don't need to teach the existing, and I'm talking a little more about the existing people, because, Dr. Saha has taken care of all the growing ups. We all can really focus on just the ones who are, already there in the market and they need the upskilling, reskilling. So I think, customization of each of these abstract courses, how would you apply it? It has to be applied kind of a course, because, often it happens that somebody has learned AI in abstract manner, but if he or she does not know how to apply that, somebody has learned digital, but he or she does not understand how to use digital on the shop floor, how to understand the difference between IT, OT, how to understand IoT in the context. So industry can provide us the contextualization. Companies, consulting firms, they need to do is also try to, make it more, amenable to the different industry.
So Manas, you talked of contextualization is the responsibility
very heavily
of the industry, and to the contextualization to change to customization and applied, so as to make it very user friendly and make it more output efficient is part of it.
Absolutely. You also talked about the fact that people need to understand how to use things, the interface of it.
So you talk about how to apply it, because you may have all the knowledge, you can't apply. Tim, we are running out of time. From your idea, the top 2-3 things, and this is international learning. What do you think? Bullet points, 1, 2, 3. This is something which is done if you have to move fast forward.
Sorry, yeah, very interesting. So I think there's a couple of things. I think from an education perspective, especially when you're talking about skills, I think it's really important to ensure standardization of skilling outcomes across the board, and not just in India, but also to international markets. And why I mentioned this, I think that if you look at the educational sector, there's been huge disruption and also massive investment in edtech in India, for example. If you look at some of the massive Baijus and so on companies that are growing. And with that comes a tremendous scaling of educational opportunities. So if you go online and look for a big data course, you can find thousands of them from different providers all over the place. And I think from an industry perspective, it's really essential to ensure that there is a harmonized approach or a recognized approach to skilling outcomes, so that there is a standard baseline of expectation that a skilled person would have when entering industry. And the second point to that, which I think is really important, is India does still have a massive opportunity to play a significant role globally, particularly with new technologies and new skill sets. We all know India has tremendous capacity from the IT sector. And with all these new skills that have been mentioned, there's still a much bigger opportunity. So when it's linked to industry, it needs to be recognized by the international market as well to ensure that there's a standardized playing field for skills.
So Tim, another music to the ears, you said India doesn't only have the potential to skill people in the country, but their expertise of IT and even other technology should help them to skill outside. And you say the strong, what Manas even mentioned is, how do you make it on the same plane, which is understandable, logical, and which is something related. The last word to you, Dr. Saha. We talked about catch them young. From your perspective, if you have a wish list vis-a-vis the industries, vis-a-vis industry or vis-a-vis people who are players like analytics companies, what is your wish list? What do you expect them to do so that you can make the thing much more powerful and strong?
Yeah, first of all, with respect to analytics, I think a lot of things we can do. In fact, of course, there are restrictive view with respect to the data and profilifications. But at the same time, the capability indexing of student is very much essential. Otherwise, it is always later on we test whether class 10 pass out has a reading ability of class 8 or computational ability of class 6 or mathematical ability of class 5. So these things, I think, can be resolved with the help of technology or AI or data analytics. The second wish list is with respect to industry collaboration, because the entire nation goes through the school, not through the university. It is hardly 24% gross enrollment ratio in Indian context in the higher education. But if you look into the school, it is more than 80%. So that means that the dropouts post-secondary or senior secondary, or even for the sake post-class 8. So until class 8, there is a more than 85% students are coming to in this bracket. So if industry can really pitch in, like the German model post-7th, how industry, the cluster is helping. So similarly, industry association and cluster, if they can join hand with the school cluster, I think that would be a win-win situation. My last point, with respect to, already I have messaged through the chat box, that is how we can jointly promote a culture of project-based learning or activity-based and internship. I think there, that a safety route through which we can really ignite them to experiment and also focus on the career, which essentially every industry is driving for. Thank you so much.
So, Dr. Saha, you mentioned three interesting points or three important points. One is capability indexing, because otherwise the gap between what is expected and what the student has can be a challenge. So how can you use good technology to index? And if there's a gap, it can be correct, right? Second, you mentioned of industry collaboration. Everybody talks of interface collaboration with the engineering colleges, with the ITIs or the diplomas, but why can't the collaboration happen since 80% students are there? And then you called of this culture of, internships. So we're totally out of time, but I tell you, we got a phenomenal view, right from manufacturing, supply chain, R&D, analytics, international, dealership, network, and last but not the least, starting young school. So it's been a very fascinating discussion. I'm sure we would have continued on and on, but the organizers have given us this much time. Next time when we have a discussion, we'll ask them half an hour more, because this topic is such, you need to get more involved, more engrossed. I'm sure, and we cannot take certain questions even which are there, but I think a lot of questions were there, have been answered. So thank you all the participants. So we can say with confidence, future forward is fast forward. It is not furious forward. It is systematic, organized forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Arunji. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Malhotra. Well, we talked on a lot of topics and very deeply, a lot of, suggestions were there. And I think that's a great way to go ahead. Moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen, we have our international keynote speaker, Paul Janssen. And he has worked in mail delivery and transport sector for about 21 years. During this time, he was responsible for managing different parts of Dutch postal organization, now called as Postal NL, as well as TNT Express. He has been dedicated to organizational change since the day he started working as Post NL in 1989. As a management trainee, he joined the company during his transformative years from a state-run enterprise to a commercial listed company. Paul worked on operational change with a clear focus on and strong vision on people, customers, profit, and of course the planet. In January 2011, Paul joined Fleet Forum as its executive director. Without further ado, sir, may I request you to please come here on the main screen. Customers, profit, and of course the planet. In January 2011, Paul joined Fleet Forum as its executive director. Without further ado, sir, may I request you to please come here on the main screen. Customers, profit, and of course the planet. In January 2011, Paul joined Fleet Forum as executive director. Without further ado, sir, may I request you to please come here on the main screen. Customers, profit, and of course the planet. In January 2011, Paul joined Fleet Forum as executive director. Without further ado, sir, may I request you to please come here on the main screen.
Okay.
Customers, profit, and of course the planet. In January 2011, Paul joined Fleet Forum as executive director. Sir, please come here on the main screen. So sorry for the technical glitch, but I think we are living in the technologically led area and this is out of the human touch. So sorry for the glitch, but I think we are sorted. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Chika, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Sorry for the technical glitch.
And from the first moment that Dr. Pramila Sanjaya, Fleet Forum's country director, introduced me to ASDC a couple of years ago, I have been impressed by the professionalism, the drive, and the energy that I see within ASDC, which is not just very instrumental for the success of the automotive industry in India, but like already mentioned before, it's also very important for the position of India as a great resource for skilled workforce for the automotive industry worldwide. So what I would like to do today in the next 10 minutes is share with you how we look at digitalization of our training. Since, of course, the COVID crisis, as we all know, we were very limited in doing face-to-face trainings. And that's why we, in March, April last year, started to completely digitalize all our trainings. And as we all know, it's, let's say, digital training is completely different from classroom training. And I think we even discovered that it's more different than we upfront anticipated. So let me take you through the journey that we went through in the last, let's say, 1.5 years, if we look at our training. And I think we even I'm sorry. It's more different than we upfront anticipated. Hello? So let me take you. Let me see if we are, if you can still see my screen. Okay. Like I said, my apologies. It looks like there was a double sound. Let me take you through Fleet Forum's road towards, let's say, a digital transformation of our training activities. just a very short overview of who is Fleetforum. Some of you might know us, some of you might not know us yet. Fleetforum is a Swiss association, a member association, a not-for-profit organization, and we mainly work with humanitarian organizations, but also with corporate organizations to improve transport management in the areas of road safety, environmental impact, cost efficiency, and effectiveness of transport. So we have many members from the aid development sector, from the corporate sector. And what we do is we try to support these organizations by a lot of activities in improving their transport management. And one of the main topics is improving, let's say, skills of staff within humanitarian, in the humanitarian world. And our main, I would say, target group is fleet managers. And in many organizations, fleet managers are still being seen as, let's say, senior dispatchers. It's the people who are responsible for allocate vehicles to specific trips, where we see that fleet management is actually a profession, because it's not just a dispatcher, it's a coach, it's a business partner, it's a risk manager, it's a project manager, it's a data analyst, but he's responsible for the success of the transport of a company or humanitarian organization, and therefore also very instrumental for the success of the performance of the whole organization. So over the last, let's say, 8-9 years, we've gone through a journey of training. In 2013, we started with physical training, classroom training, face-to-face, 5 days in the classroom, to teach, to train fleet managers to be more successful in their job. In 2015, we realized that we should adopt more principles of adult learning. Adults know much better what they need to learn. They always need to be guided by, let's say, a teacher. They choose themselves what they learn. They know where the gaps in knowledge and awareness are and skills are, where they want to be trained. So they're much better off if they can do some self-learning as well, self-paced learning. So in 2015, we developed a complete suite of e-learning modules. And we shortened, let's say, the physical training from 5 to 3 days. Upfront, all the participants did the e-learning, and these e-learning, the knowledge in the e-learning was used during the 3-day classroom training. In 2020, we were forced, like everyone, to completely transform. And we transformed our classroom training into a virtual training. And like I said in the opening, during the course of 2020 and early 2021, we realized that we should deepen our learning more. We should adapt more to virtual learning than we did initially. So let me take you through some of the types of trainings that we do and how we build, let's say, a full suite of virtual trainings. Our main training is a fleet management training. And we have 2 levels, fundamentals and professional. And what we do is that's the training that we transformed from a classroom training to a virtual training. It's a certified training by the Chartered Institute for Logistics and Transport. And it's around how can a fleet manager be successful in supporting the organization she or he works for. Typical participants in trainings are transport managers, fleet managers, logistics managers. So originally we did it physical with e-learning and classroom training, and now it's completely based on e-learning and virtual classes. And the implementation, which means after the training, that's actually just the start of the skill development. So after the training, an NFP participant has to draft an action plan, how he wants to improve the performance of the transport of the organization she or he works for. And during a period of 6 months to a year, we do follow-up sessions with all the trainees individually and peer-to-peer sessions in order to support these managers to realize the improvements that they want to realize, which is also virtual and part of the whole training package. The advantage of virtual training is, like I said, what we already started, is that we can apply much more of the principles of adult learning. People themselves know much better than the trainer where gaps in skills, knowledge, and awareness are, where they want to learn. People are much better in deciding when they want to learn and how they want to learn. So we balance, synchronize students, trainees, all at the same time. And that can be in video conferencing, in live chat, in live stream videos with Q&A after it. So that means preset then is when you need to come virtually in a virtual classroom, and there will be sessions. But more and more, we also do asynchronous. So the student learn in their own way, at their own pace, in their own time. So there's no live communication. Via email, via e-learning, screencasts, Flipgrid, videos, blogs, whatever we can use to allow people to train, to learn in their own way. So some types of, let's say, training material or training methodologies that we use. At the left side, you see examples of our e-learning modules, which are all scenario-based. You are a fleet manager of an organization, and this is the situation. This happens, how would you respond? So every time you have to, let's say, solve situations in this scenario, and then the e-learning takes you through the scenario, and every time you get new challenges, so to speak. We also use gamification more and more. At the right side, you see Driving Force, which is a game which was originally developed actually as a board game, a very traditional board game, but we also transformed that into a virtual version. So it's a game where you play in teams. So one person is a fleet manager or transport manager or logistics manager, and the other person is a driver. And again, it's based on scenarios. So for example, the driver or the manager, he gets from senior management the assignment to take care of the transportation of a very high level senior manager from headquarters of the company. And then the manager gets the task to brief the driver. So he needs to record a video on his telephone in the game app, and the driver at the other side can listen to it. So they can done completely remotely. And the driver is then asked to, let's say, write down the guidelines that he would have for the person, the high level person in his or her car related to safety in this case. So again, scenario based, things happen and you really need to record, write, take pictures. And so it's a bit gamification used as learning in practice. One step further after that, what we do is more and more micro learning. So what we see is that people nowadays do not always have the patience, the time to really have for an hour or a day in a classroom or virtual. So what we do is offer them more and more 5 minutes, 10 minutes of learning ideas, challenges per day. An interesting thing is that you can do that. You give us a very short model. It's a video, it's a speech, it's a document, and people can respond to it at their own time, at their own pace, in their own way. And other participants of their group, they can see it and respond to it as well. So it's an interactive way of providing little snapshots of knowledge or awareness, and people can respond to it, how they would like to apply that in their own circumstances. We normally do not do driver training, driver skill training, because we're pretty much focused on the role of managers within organizations. But due to COVID, of course, that all the organizations could not be trained by driver training companies because they could not travel as well. They could not meet together as well. So what we did and then is to still provide services to organizations for their drivers, is set up a platform, a school, a driver seat. It's a virtual school, which serves as a platform. So we built a school and we offer trainings to organizations who are interested in these trainings, but we don't provide the content. It's training companies that we selected and asked to transform their physical trainings also into virtual trainings, and they offer that into our platform. So it's all different suppliers of trainings. Well, whether it's a training on, like you see here, the basic competences of driving, until driving an armored vehicle or maintenance. So there's several topics, but it's external suppliers training suppliers who provide the content, but for a driver, it's all in one look and feel. It's all the same. So it's one school, but just with different teachers, so to speak. And to make a further step with, let's say, gamification for drivers, we developed an app, very basic app. You can compare it with a tracking system, because the purpose is a bit the same. The big difference with a normal tracking system is it's not a black box where normally drivers do not see how they are being monitored. They don't see the outcome of the tracking of their driver behavior. This case is the driver is in control himself or herself. So it's an app on a mobile telephone, on a smartphone. You need to have a smartphone, an Android phone, and it tracks just 3 basic things: speeding, sticking to the speed limits, resting times, do you rest in time, and third, do you use your mobile phone while driving? And again, it's with the game, it's a gamification setup. So you have leaderboards. You can say, I do better than other drivers in my organization, or I do drive better than other drivers in my country. So you can see how you do compared to other drivers, and you are in control yourself. It's your own data. At the end of every trip, you see what's the score of this trip, and you can, let's say, improve yourself over and over again. That's, let's say, in a nutshell, what we do and where we learned from transforming our, let's say, classroom trainings, physical trainings, skill trainings to, let's say, virtual, and where we more and more technologies added, which are all possible virtually. And what we see is that people really like it, that they can do part of the training at their own pace, at their own time, in their own way, and come to us in live sessions or in these micro-learning sessions where they can apply what they learned, and in a scenario-based setup can apply their learnings and discuss it with other trainees during the training and also in the 6 to 12 months after the training. Well, in the future, we don't know how the future looks like. Just 2 examples. Virtual reality, augmented reality is already used in training as well. And that is for us as well the next step, where we really can say it's almost like in real life the training, but we just do it still in a virtual world. The COVID crisis forced us to go much more into virtual training, and forced us to really think in how people learn, how they want to learn, and the difference between more traditional learning and adult learning, I would say. And I think even if we can travel again, even if everything opens up, if we can come together to do in-person trainings again, I'm sure and I'm confident that part of the virtual learning will stay, because it offers so many more opportunities than just the in-person training with all the new technologies that are available at the moment. So I think we're just at the start of a journey where we can have more and more technology embedded in training programs and offer a more comfortable environment for people to be trained and use the skills in a way that they know it's the best way for them. Well, thank you for your attention. Again, I'm honored that I could share with you the way that we look at, let's say, at virtual digitalization of training, and where I think that it's here to stay and will never go away anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir. That was indeed very, very, very helpful for all of us. Well, moving ahead, in the very first panel discussion, there was a tsunami for the changes and for the ideas. And we are looking for exactly the same kind of panel discussion in our next discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, it's on the topic collaboration approaches for automotive skill development. And to do the moderation, we have with us Mr. Anuj Guglani, who is the CEO at World Auto Forum. And he's a founder of it since 2009. He has also been CEO of Ace at Work, a consulting firm for training, strategy, and SOPs for automakers and auto dealers across the world. He's also the founder of MotorUncle.com, which is a web app for the confused car buyers and hassle car service customer. He's also the co-founder and partner at a green energy consortium called Jan Urja, and he is also the head of an NGO called Citizens for Better India that works towards improving the lives of women, children, and senior citizens. So without further ado, Mr. Anuj Gaglani, sir, please take the charge.
Oh, thanks a ton, Shikha, for that introduction. And thank you so much, team ASDC, for this opportunity. And a big congratulations to you at ASDC for completing a decade. And I think that's just the first decade. I'm sure there are several prolific decades to follow. And welcome, gentlemen, for this panel discussion. So before we introduce the people here, let's quickly talk about the topic, which of course, as you can see on the screen, is collaboration approaches for automotive skill development. Okay, now the screen is over here, so let me introduce the people first in that case. So we have, of course, by the way, none of these gentlemen need an introduction. Still, for the protocol, I will do it. Okay, so we have Mr. Rajiv Chhaba, who is the president and MG at MG Motors. Then we have Mr. Tushar Arora. He is the director and CEO at Abilities India Pistons and Rings. Then we have Mr. Sudhakar Gudipati, who is the business unit head at TCS Iron Vocational Education. And of course, we have Mr. CS Vigneshwar. He is a Deputy Managing Director of Annamalai Agencies. And we have Mr. Sumit Kumar, who is a VP and Business Head at the Team Lee's Skilling University, right? So Shikha, I can just request you and your team to stop sharing the screen now so that, we can get into the discussion. And as we get into the discussion, let me just quickly rattle out the discussion point that we have. So we've already had fantastic discussions earlier in this program, and taking a cue from these discussions. So we already have knowledge of a tsunami coming in. We have mega trends coming in. We have ACEs, we have AI, we have digital, we have everything. But how it all boils down to the ground level, how it connects the brain to the wallet is the question. And of course, that goes via the skill. So the basic topics of the discussion today is, collaboration. So we have to have a collaboration ecosystem. So of course, we know it's the industry, it's the academia, it's the government. And we know that ASDC has been running thousands of courses, with hundreds of assessors, the feet on the street, and millions of learners have taken benefit. But how eventually it comes together? How do the dots join in? Collaborative ecosystem, what does it really mean in a practical perspective? Then, of course, the next topic of discussion for today is the role of technology. We've all seen the tsunami of digital during the lockdowns. Where next? What next? Like even ASDC had done, so many programs during the, the lockdown era through their e-learning hub, knowledge hub. They had done so many programs and certification. What is the next stage of digital? Let's discuss that and what role collaboration plays in that. Then, apprenticeship is really, like a it's like an underdog, it's really, underemphasized. We already have this NAPS program from the government, which ASDC is running, the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, in which, you can have people on your shop floor or, in your showroom or workshop. They pay a stipend, a part of it. They even, food the training expense. There is no headache of EPF and so forth. But how much are we using it? What is that needs to be done? We've also seen, and hey, by the way, in one of the VAF programs, we had challenged ASDC, we love to challenge, that's our job, So we had challenged ASDC, okay, the naysayers say that you guys are only doing work for the OEM dealerships. What about the guys, aftermarket, the people who are, the roadside technicians? So actually ASDC took it as a challenge, and they are rolling out, I think if I'm not wrong, 1 million roadside technicians training program through that RPL that they have, recognition of prior learning. So how does this apprenticeship and RPL all come together? Not just for skilling, but skilling for nation building. And there I think ASDC really deserves a round of applause. And then, world skills, like taking India to the world. We have seen how ASDC has been participating, successfully in world skills, how various, of our technicians have won laurels for the country and for the companies that they represent in world skills. What more can be done there through collaboration? And, it's very nice of ASDC to put this point here. What are the expectations? They are asking via this discussion what are the expectations of the industry, academia, government, expectations from ASDC to do better skilling. So with that, let's get into the conversation, and let's get Mr. Rajiv Chhaba in the conversation. And we've all seen the kind of the first internet car, the first AI car launched by MG India, and then we have seen. By the way, I'm sure you must be aware that more than 30% of their manpower is actually woman power. So they are setting the standards, in the automakers and car makers. So, Mr. Chhaba, we would like to ask you, so what kind of skills, transformation, collaborations you feel, are required, to take it to the next level? What have you been doing, in these initiatives of digital and, gender neutrality? What is your game plan for skill development through collaboration?
Yeah, so thanks for that. I would say that this is a big challenge, this whole area, and we need all kinds of help, whoever can help us. To start with, like two areas which you talked about, the diversity, what we intend to have. By the way, we are 35% now. So, and we want to take it up to 50%, which is like nature, like 50% men and 50% women. So we want to take gender diversity to 50%. It's very tough, but I think the team has really imbibed it, and we are getting there. So even there, like, the kind of things we need to do at the factory floor. So within MG India, and we are OEMs, and there we are trying to, do all kinds of things possible to make sure that our own team is up to speed on internet cars, and EVs. And frankly, to be very honest, we see struggle here, people with old mindset, people coming from mainstream industry, taking their own time to understand this. Whereas when we take, and we do a lot, by the way, we are taking lots of youngsters as freshers, in both diploma holders and degree holders, and they are like fish to water for these new technologies. But again, the youngsters need to learn something from the seniorish guys, and likewise, seniorish guys can be reverse mentored by youngsters, right, in certain areas. So I think, again, they need to collaborate with each other. But what I'm trying to highlight here is that we as OEM also struggle. Just imagine what happens at the dealerships. And Anuj, I will not come to roadside technicians. We are long way to go. So, so when you come to dealerships, you can imagine, given the kind of manpower we have there in showroom and workshop, the challenges a dealership faces. So what can we do about it? And what we are trying to do. So as an example, I also heard part of Arun's earlier session. So we also are trying to do lots of, everything is video based now. It's not audio based training, right? So a lot of video conversions are happening so that you can repeat it and it's sustainable. And then you can, once you invest in those kind of assets, I think it's low cost over a long period of time. But then apart from that, we need to also train lots and lots of manpower at a regular basis, because attrition is there at the dealerships. So then we have joined hands with ASDC saying that, listen, can we keep training these guys on a regular basis? And maybe, even if the attrition happens, at least it's better to train some people, and if they leave, no problem, it's part of our job to keep, training new people. So with that intention, we have done few programs with ASDC already. We are doing lots of programs for even women special programs with ASDC. And also within MG India, we have gone to many training companies now. Instead of having one training company doing one kind of a program, we have joined hands with various companies to do various kinds of programs, and we are experimenting. You can imagine, and we are experimenting all kinds of things right now in MG India, because we are also learning its whole thing evolving. Also, we have joined hands with colleges, like IIT Delhi, we are doing some project. We have given them one EV that, okay, maybe we can do some reverse engineering there. So with engineering colleges, with the ASDC and with a lot of other training institutes, we are trying to get this whole thing going. It's very tough, but very, very important. This is all part of change management the country is facing, frankly.
Fair enough. So, Mr. Chava, you have been in the industry for so long. You're a veteran, and you have been there, done that. If we may ask you, what is your vision of skilled manpower, woman power, next 5 years for the industry? Assembly line, shop floor, showroom. What would that be?
For women, you are saying?
For everyone, inclusive for the entire industry, right from the shop floor to the showroom. In the next 5 years, where do you want to see the industry at?
See, it again depends on the company's portfolio, frankly. Because if certain companies probably still are still going to go ahead with the mainstream technology, and frankly, there they are quite okay. I would like to believe we have disrupted, and now there is some cost to entry into any segment, and people have to come with certain features and certain some technology. So in 5 years time from now, I would like to say that most of the cars are going to be connected. So there, in terms of software, I think we need to provide that kind of training to everyone, because there are lots of issues related to telecom industry, related to infotainment area, sorry. So in connected car, lots of stuff. In four-wheeler, I am not talking about two-wheeler, frankly.
Sure,
because two-wheeler will be quite electrified in 5 years' time.
Absolutely.
Still, it may be less, but I think there will be a reasonable penetration on EV also in 5 years' time. So I think the knowledge on the electric cars, in terms of how do you repair a battery, as an example. The repair of a battery is, by the way, is done by engineers right now, but then how do you scale it down to various levels? So in terms of electric car, basic knowledge, repair of battery, I think those things are important. So connected car, ADAS system, and basic electric. I think these are the areas which I think will be important, and industry has to make sure that manpower gets trained on these areas.
Fair point. That's a fair point. So switching gears over here and coming to our next speaker, Mr. Tushar Arora. He is the director and CEO at Abilities India, Pistons and Rings. So taking a cue from Mr. Chhaba's conversation, Mr. Arora, since it's all about ADAS and electronics and EV and battery, and your company as of now is, I think, if not fully, at least mostly is penetrated into the IC engine technology. And with EV being a global revolution, where do you see the transformation for your organization and the skilling transformation to follow or lead in that matter? Mr. Arora, all yours.
Thank you, Anuj. I think the way Mr. Chava just started, that EVs and everything. So we are into two-wheelers and three-wheelers in the Indian market. And our name, so I am fourth generation in the business. So I guess when the name was coined into the business, Abilities India, Pistons and Rings, our forefathers, of course, never thought that EVs will take over. So we are not actually just manufacturing pistons and piston rings. We're doing pressure die casting parts. We have a patented technology for pressure die casting pistons, which are not used in two-wheelers or three-wheelers, but exported for the gardening equipment, which is a diversified business for us. So we've already started diversifying towards that segment so that the EVs do not affect the business in the future, as of course they will have high penetration in the market in India. So we do 50% of our business is exports through this patented technology and further growing. We also have patented a special coating, which is a nickel-based coating, electrolyte-based, with various combos. And that is not limited just to the auto sector, but towards other sectors, even home appliances and everything as well. So that's how we are diversifying. And for domestic market, we are working on high CC engines and trying to get away from the smaller CC ones, because as Mr. Chaba also mentioned that when technology will come in, it will be the base level motorcycles and scooters that will be the first ones to go away because of the price parity and the ease of entry to the market. And I think it's a very welcome change, meeting the pollution norms and change and having that leverage technology. I think it's an aha factor that all the youngsters would want to believe. And next, I think moving on towards the future, this will be a good penetration. I think in the next 5 to 6 years, we'll at least have 10 to 15% penetration in the two-wheeler market easily. And even more in the three-wheeler segment, I believe, because commercials will definitely help. So that would, definitely happen. And we are preparing and also working with startups to, cater towards the EV segment as well. And I think we should be working on changing our name as well, because anybody who reads this name now will definitely be like, okay, these guys are only into pistons and rings and you need to change. So I think that's
so possibly just the piston and rings abilities would never go out of fashion.
Absolutely not. And the abilities is what make you, right? It's your abilities that take you there. So moving forward, and also, technology, I think technology is, for collaborating, especially for all aspects, technology is what provides you the data. And once you have data, you can leverage that knowledge, which is there at your fingertips, to make decisions quickly, whether right or wrong. You make those decisions quickly and you can course correct, because again, you have the data at your fingertips. So technology definitely helps you there. And secondly, what we've seen is whether you're a small or large scale, any process that has to go through many hands definitely works through process automation. So what we do in our company when we have CFTs, where multiple departments are involved, processes and approvals are there. So what we've done is we've made our own internal software through Google Suite, where there is form automation and you move along the way and approvals are done. So whatever is pending is highlighted very quickly and it's handled through reviews. And everything's kind of automated. Nobody even looks in the background. You just see what processes are done, what's left and what's not. So once you have that in front of you, it makes a big change. So as Paul also mentioned before we started this session, how they've digitalized the whole training process. Same way we are working also on skilling for our internal company. And again, Mr. Chava said the skilling, it's no joke. I think if you have all the data and papers and manual trainings, everything, it will take forever to, get an idea of what's really happening, who's done, who's not. And the higher you go in scale, the more difficult it gets to do it without technology. So it plays a very important role in there.
So, Mr. Arora, I would like to ask you a very focused and a candid question here. Like like your organization, there'll be many organizations who are focused on IC engine technology. And we all know, it's not just that we don't want it in India, it's inevitable. You see every possible country in the world has announced a deadline for EV, that new IC engine sales would stop on this date and this year. So do you have a plan for that transformation? What role will skilling play in that? Because, this knowledge can be priceless for many organizations who might be watching you right now.
Absolutely right, Anuj. So skilling in that terms is first our skilling. So the management skilling is the first lesson that will be happening there. And it's ongoing. Because we're working with various startups and we are looking for opportunities in our core competencies. That's what's happening, to find ways to get into that field. And instead of reinventing the wheel on working with something, say again, a battery or a casting technology, something that's only related to EVs, we are working on upgrading our skill to learn those technologies so that we can integrate those into our means, whatever we have available, or upscale them to adapt to those means and leverage our internal technology and manpower that can cater to those needs that will be required in the future. Of course, growing in the segment that does not get affected by the EV revolution, because cars and two-wheelers are, of course, the major contributors, as you would say. But handheld engines, compressors, and other areas are where this technology will still be required for a very long time.
Fair enough. So this surely sounds like a great blueprint to work on, and I really appreciate these insights, Mr. Arora. So switching gears again, and now going to one of the most famous, largest automotive retailers of the country, and who are not just into auto retail, but they have diversified business interests. So I'm talking about Mr. C.S. Vigneshwar, who's the Deputy Managing Director of Annamalai Agency. So Mr. Vigneshwar.
Hi, Anuj.
Hi, Mr. Vigneshwar. Nice to have you. So, you've been listening to all the conversations. The idea is collaboration, especially when there is a multi, varied business like yours. Where do you see collaboration for skilling playing the pivotal role?
The most important thing is, first of all, I would like to thank, I'd like to congratulate the new office bearers in ASDC. And hoping for a great future. And it was also a great past. Thanks for the government to bring in the Skill Development Council, especially for automobiles, if I can speak here. It basically made sure that none of us are duplicating what we wear, whether it is industry, which is OEM, whether it's parts, the ACMA, who they represent, or FADA, or even suppliers of equipments and consumables. A lot of us were actually duplicating. And what ASDC has been able to do is to make sure that duplication doesn't happen and resources are better spent and utilized. However, I always keep hearing that we need to skill up for the future. Somehow, but at the same time, there is an oxymoron which also keeps going around saying that workshops are going to be empty in the future because electric cars are quite easy to maintain. So I don't understand why we need to fret about technology because pound for pound, I think the IC engine car is more complicated than a rocket. And we talk about rocket science. A rocket is, I don't think it has as many moving parts pound for pound as an IC engine. And believe me, yes, Mr. Chaba also talked about how it's important that we learn about battery maintenance and all that, just from a safety point of view. But believe me, we don't have much of a working component inside the battery. It is a few metals and a little bit of liquid and all sandwiched together like a lovely club sandwich. And we don't have much to do about it. So going into the future, I actually see handling technologies like hydrogen, aka fuel cells, EVs, pure EVs or hybrids, actually a lot more easier. It's a lot more reliable than what the IC engines are. While when you look at the overall vehicle, right now a lot of skilling is required in the management of skills. It is not skills is an issue, definitely in certain aspects like say a body shop or let's say a digital marketing, where we have a long way to go as dealers. Another aspect of it is skill management. We have all the skills under us. How do we manage it? How are we able to improve efficiencies in our flow? How are we able to improve utilization? To cut in Japanese called muda, or just wastage, different kind of wastages which happen at the shop floor. Even in inquiry stage, where a customer inquires, we need to make sure that the funnel is absolutely straight. We tend to lose a lot of customers in a funnel, and these things are something which also need to be worked on. Marketing, HR, CR. At the end of the day, whether it's the government or PDA, all of us are there because of the customer. Customer is the star, and we kind of are planets which go around. So we really need to go and ask ourselves, what are the skills which actually the customer wants us to have? As you said, as it was discussed in the during the past panel and also here, it is very important to know what changes are there, because today there are so many aggregators which were not there 10 years ago. There's aggregators in insurance, aggregators in finance, aggregators in service. So what are they providing, which we dealers are not able to, or we are struggling to? If we are able to find that, listen to the customer, listen to his or her voice, I guess we would be knowing what skills we need to have, and whether it new skills need or readopt old skills, we never know. Today the customer talks about online, but 90% of the customers research online, but 99% of them buy from brick and mortar, at least in the automobile sector, which also means that not only does the customer want information, but the customer also wants to see a face, especially when it comes to an emotive purchase like a car. But this may not last. This would change. And are we listening to the customers and making sure we change along with them, including the skills available in our organization?
Fair enough, Mr. Vineshu, that these are fine points. In fact, what you just mentioned, what are the aggregators offering that we are not, offering? What is the value that they are adding? I'd like to quote an example, a non-automotive example right here. I've been ordering Domino's pizza on the Domino's website. A few months back, I stopped doing that. I only order Domino's on Zomato. Why? Because once what happened, Domino's messed up the order. They messed, and their UI also was flickering. And when they forgot one dish, they was eating my head that it was my fault. And they were not resolving the issue. And similar issue happened on Zomato too with Domino's. The issue was resolved like this. That too through the AI bot. And payment was so easy, it was a breeze, single touch. Even my 5-year-old kid can do it. So just the way I've given these insights, I'm sure all of us are aware. What would be the places where skilling can really add value at the dealership level, where you feel which are very important, which are like epicenters of productivity and efficiency according to you? What are those pain areas where we really need skilling?
We really need soft skilling in the customer facing areas, whether it's the sales or service. And more importantly, we are still operating at throughout India. Our bay productivity is around 2.5 to 3 vehicles in a day. I know certain brands where the bay productivity is 16 vehicles per day in an 8-hour shift. And it's not that those team members are being squeezed, but the process has been put in place. And the process tends to also give in efficiencies. They talk about bay utilization, they talk about bay productivity, bay efficiency, technician efficiencies. So all these things, skills are very, very important. And I also believe that it cannot be an SOP which is a draconian, or let's say absolutely an absolute SOP sent by manufacturers to dealers saying that you need to follow this. If a dealer has a better system, the system should have enough flexibility to give in and follow a better example. So I think today technician efficiencies really need to be improved, not by 30-40%, by 3-4 times, which also means that there's enough skill there, but we're not using it. So that's what I was talking about, skill management. We have skills enough already, but are we using it properly? Yeah.
So taking these skills, taking these dialogues to action, and as Mr. Vigneshwar has sounded the big that it's not just 30-40%, it's 10 times of that. It's 3 to 4 times what is the scope for improvement. So switching gears on that point and coming to a person who represents a company which has been doing assessments, LMS, testing for UPSC, for the who's who in the industry and the world, in India and the world. And of course, they are doing with ASDC too. They have done the LMS and many other digital programs. So Mr. Sudhakar Gudipati, like to ask you, how are these collaborations working out for you, with these industry bodies? How you are, rolling out these beautiful digital engagements, and where do you see the integration of the vocational courses and knowledge happening? What is that sweet spot according to you?
Thank you, Anuj. Actually, it's great to talk about collaboration and technology together across so much of. We have been hearing about digitization and the way things transformed for the last couple of years. I'm very glad to say that our association with ASDC actually much before the pandemic itself, we multiple ways we actually entered into collaboration to not just in the assessment space, even in the learning space as well. I just wanted to step back and tell you what we did exactly 10 years back, when all these examinations and assessments, what you spoke about, which is completely done in a physical way, and people had to travel hundreds of kilometers from villages to come to main cities to attend these examinations. The accessibility was a big challenge. If you cut to this 10 years now, if you see now, TCS ION has our digital zones across the country in every district, and that's a physical presence. And we also invested hugely into technology solutions, which will help us actually provide great opportunity for giving same-day results and avoiding malpractices and etc. So the integration of both technology innovation and as well as the physical space, which we call it digital model, worked extremely well in examination and assessment business. That's exactly what we are now replicating that in vocational education in TCS ION. I think technology and the ecosystem partners will have to work together. What we did is we've actually created 5 mega platforms, which are going to not just in terms of the skilling, but also it will address the basic issues of creating awareness about what sort of options which are available for youth or children to opt for. Starting from the first platform on the career counseling, where we're building awareness, we are building providing options for students to go for the assessments, and also provide career counselors who are certified, who will help them actually guide to choose paths which are not just typical academic pathways, but alternate pathways as well. The learning platform is the second platform where multiple learning programs, not just today we talk about virtual training. We think that virtual training, because the pandemic situation is there, we use the technology to deliver the training, but in vocational education, the hands-on practice is extremely critical. That's where I think the combination of both virtual learning and as well as the hands-on practical learning in the centers in a digital mode becomes extremely important. So we came out with the 10 unique pedagogical elements, which will help have effective learning for students, starting from a very small digital learning modules up to industry diplomas and degrees in collaboration with academic institutions. This learning platform enables us to ensure that the students have anytime, anywhere learning, and also take the best in class education from the academia to take it to every district. The third platform is assessment and certification platform. I don't have to talk much about it because it's a proven model in the country, and we have a largest share in terms of the way that we run business in the assessment and certification. And NQT, which is the work readiness test, which we have created, which is called a TCS National Qualifier Test to assess people on attitudinal, cognitive, subjective, and industry, that enables us to provide a very standardized way of providing score to the employers on the work readiness test. And finally, the job listing platform for both job seekers and job providers. These 5 platforms are integrated, and we have brought in the 5 important ecosystem partners. One is the academic partners. I think if you have to mainstream vocational education, you need to bring in IITs of the world to participate in vocational space. They bring in curriculum, content, and the best-in-class faculty. Second is the industry partners. I think the relevance to what we are teaching in the ITIs, polytechnics is very important. That's where the industry plays a role, not just at the time of just signing of the curriculum, but also during the process of learning as well, and then post that as well through apprenticeships and jobs. The third partner, which is going to be a very important partner, which is a content partner. I think in vocational space, at least in my experience in the last 8 years, the biggest challenge, while we standardize the NOSES and the requirements, but the content is not standardized, I think, which is delivered in the classrooms. I think standardization, contextualization, and digitization becomes very, very important. Today, virtual training is happening through only live lectures, but I think bringing in things like gamification, things like self-learning digital modules will help improve the learning. So that's where the content partners can play a big role. OEM partners, I'm glad, I think we spoke about that. Upgrading the infrastructure to the latest equipment is going to be very, very critical. How do we bring them on board to upgrade the infrastructure? The last one is the last mile centers, which we call it learning and practice centers, which is going to be the heart of the entire model, where the students can walk across to a LNP center and get a hands-on learning. And this LNP center can potentially become a model where not just the learning, but also can provide career counseling services, placement services, and also introduce latest technology innovations for virtual learning. This is the model which we have worked, and I'm very glad to say that ASDC is the leader in adopting such kind of practices. And I'm sure, I think even this model would be taken, and we want to ensure that with all of this, we mainstream vocational education on it.
That's fantastic, Mr. Sudhakar. So, by the way, are you up for a challenge?
Yes, absolutely.
Should I share it with you right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you are the tech leaders for LMS, for testing and the related technology. So in one of those video conferences between Mark Zuckerberg and Mukesh Ambani, Mr. Zuckerberg had mentioned to Mr. Ambani that today we are on this video call, but next time it will not be a video call. I'll be sitting in your office. My digital avatar will be sitting on the couch in your office. That's what he mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, if we have a window to the future, if you see the workshop, if you see the shop floor, the assembly line, it's very difficult to fathom, 2D, 3D from 2D. There's so many parts, components, IC engine, battery, electric, charge controller, motor. So when can we see your modules being rolled out in AR, VR, 3D, 5D space, at these training rooms with the digital avatar of the instructor right there?
Oh, absolutely. Digital avatar of instructor is definitely possible. And we also have a unit called Game Labs as part of TCS ION, which is promoting gamified learning. But it is a journey. Today we are at a stage in vocational education where even instructor-led program through computer is not acceptable. Still people have challenges with the technology access and so on. It is easy to say that we want to bring in AR, VR into the program, but I think acceptability is going to be a challenge. We are ready to roll out gamified learning as we speak today. Rather, last week when I met Arina, we spoke about how can we really create gamified learning for the curriculum, which is aligned to NCVT and SCVT, so that it helps the youth to create interest in digital learning. So I think the days are not very far, but we need to keep advocating, pushing people to start adapting to digital learning. I'm sure there will be a day where you will see this virtual learning and virtual avatars of faculty addressing the students.
Because most of the times the people on the shop floor, showroom, they have a phone or they have a tab. So just fathoming the technology just from a small device or even a whiteboard, it's a little difficult. Or they just might have a feature phone. So the continuous learning, it just might work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So switching gears again, and coming to, as Mr. Sudhakar had mentioned, content will play a pivotal role. So now let's come to a person who's representing, leading one of the, I think they are one of the first or one of its kind skilling university in India. That's Team Lee's Skill University, and the person representing is the VP and Business Head, Mr. Sumit Kumar. So Mr. Kumar, building a university based on skilling, must have been very challenging for sure. Very radical thought. What has been your experience, and where do you see the transformation via skill and through the collaborations for automotive and mobility?
Hi, Anuj. Yes, it's been extremely, I would say, interesting journey for us to kind of even set up the Skills University, because the first proposal that we took to the UGC, we were kind of showed those that there is no such precedence which exists, and to the extent that till date there is no as such skills university regulation that existed. But the fact that we were very determined to kind of pursue this agenda, it was the state government of Gujarat that kind of came forward to kind of set up the first private skills university in PPP model, where the objective was that how do we create more job ready people. And the whole thought process actually came about when we realized that there's a whole lot of youth unemployability which existed. As a parent organization of ours, Team Lead Services, we are into the employment, where we offer employment to people, and we've offered employment to a person every 5 minutes over the last 2 decades. But that represents just about 5% of the people that ever walked into our premise. The balance 95% of the people we had to let go, not because we did not have jobs, but it's just that they were not worthy enough to be employed in those jobs. So the idea was that how do we kind of prepare these people right from the grassroots level so that they are job ready from day one. And that exactly was the concept behind the Skills University, to create job ready people, which has more industry connect and collaborative approach with the industry to create a pool of talent. Another angle for us was that, we run our flagship program, NETAP, National Employability Apprenticeship Program, which is a degree-linked apprenticeship program that we run through the university, which is a blended form of both off-the-job and on-the-job learning. And when we talk about the blend, we're looking at the on-the-job getting collaborated or blended with the other form of learning, like the virtual learning or an on-site learning or an on-campus learning. So the idea was, how do we get more disruption in the area of vocational education, get it to the mainstream education, and make it more desirable and aspirational as well. And I'll be happy to share with you that we've done about 3 lakh apprentices through the university over last 7 years now. 98% of them today are in the formal employment. And that's what apprenticeship, the degree apprenticeships have done to these people, with the whole idea of how do we channelize them towards the formal employment. And even better is that how this whole model has enhanced the livelihood as well for these people, where post their completion of the courses, they are, as I said, in the formal employment, but they do get a handsome wage premium as well, which help them to sustain and accelerate their growth, career growth as well.
Because, Mr. Sumit, what we feel that, it's not just that knowledge, not just what is, in a textbook or in a curriculum, it's beyond that. How are your mannerisms? How are your etiquettes? How are you behaving with your colleagues? Something as basic as, is your uniform clean when you're on the shop floor or showroom? Like, a lot of Japanese, automakers, they purposely have a white uniform for the workshop and the shop floor. And they were actually asked, why do you have a white uniform? They said, if you are following the SOP and the skilling that we have imparted to you, your uniform will be pristine white, otherwise it will get dirty. All these things, how you're talking to your customers, whether you are following the law of the land or not, So, and if you have any bad habits, you should not, because what the thing is, even now, being a technician in a workshop or a mechanic is not that aspirational. Like, would a father say, I'm very proud today, I have given my daughter's hand to a technician, to a mechanic? He might not be that proud, but they are proud in the West. Hey, he drives a truck, or he's a technician, he's a mechanic. He uses technology, he has devices, he applies the skilling. So how can we make this profession truly aspirational by skilling? If you have some thoughts on that.
Sure. I think the fact is that so far the skilling has not been that desirable and aspirational. the fact is that we need to make that going by actually making the skilling and the higher education inextricable. And that's the agenda which we want to pursue through our degree apprenticeship program. And I think we have been absolutely successful in transforming the lives and the careers of the people, as I said. Because the idea was that if you have to make the vocational education aspirational, how do we link it to the higher education? Because the degrees still have a very high social signaling value in our country. But at the same time, we need to ensure that how even the higher education can become more, I would say, we can get more value out of the higher education by I would say that by adding more capabilities led programs kind of a thing to get the desired ROI on the education as well. So what I would say that when we look at today through our university, the people that have been churning out are all kind of well-placed people, getting handsomely paid as well. And I think something that India really needs is how do we kind of recognize, appreciate, and reward and respect skills. And that we can only happen once we start making it more desirable, we start making it more aspirational for the people, and also getting recognized by the industry. Some of the points which have been made in the past and in the previous panel discussion as well, where one of the gentlemen said that we'll still go and find people. And this was for one of the dealerships. I think the employers are still looking at finding people rather than getting involved in creating people for themselves.
Well said.
And that's exactly what the purpose that we are trying to work along with industry and with various organizations and employers. How do we help them to create people for themselves rather than, again, finding people and getting into the trap of the skill deficiency.
Fair enough. So that has been the long-standing irony, I would say, of the industry or many industries. On one side, you have shortage of manpower, to be recruited, and on the other side, you have people who are jobless, and that's skyrocketing at both the ends. So it needs to be harmonized, as simple as that. So I think so, friends. It was a great discussion. So what we will do, we'll just quickly take up a few questions if there are any. We have one question from Mr. Das Gupta, who's from Hero MotoCorp. He has asked a question. We'll just take up that. And it's open to any panelists taking it because no name is mentioned. And people who are watching, our dear audience, if you have any more questions, please feel free to put in the Q&A section of your ExpoSim platform. And after the questions, we'll just have a 15-20 seconds, sign off summary by each speaker, right? And then we will close because we are almost out of time. So the question, the question goes, here goes. It is that we are facing the challenge, the quality of delivering the learning to field team during post-digital training, when they are asking to deliver during on-the-job training. So once you do the digital training, and then when you do the OJT, so gap, problem in the middle. What can be the solution there?
Okay, can I take this up?
Sure.
Okay, so I remember that Sudhakar mentioned previously that the whole aspect of blending, I think that's something which is very essential. And when you are right at the beginning of the formation of the program, for the curriculum for the program, I think you need to get the right pedagogy in place. But when you talk about the blend, how do you help a person to gain the knowledge and then also help him to apply that knowledge as well? I think that proportion of knowledge and their ability to balance between on-the-job and off-the-job learning will help you solve this particular problem where people are not able to relate to their learning. Also, when you mentioned about when can we visualize that people coming and looking at, getting those 2D, 3Ds models on the screen, to get trained. We've been doing this for the technical trainings, and that happened last year when the pandemic, kind of happened and we all went in the lockdown mode. There are employees that came back to us and how do we engage our people? How can we, pep them up and continue their training? So what we did was we utilized the augmented reality to train the people how to work on an engine. Because you really can't teach them in a 2D model and an engine. But the whole aspect of the 3D model and through the augmented reality, we were able to do that. So I think it's really important what kind of program, what kind of platform, and what kind of a pedagogy that you're utilizing for an effective implementation of the training. And, it has to live up to its purpose.
Great. So you have a P3 formula for this program, pedagogy, platform, and add to that technology. P3T, new acronym. All right. So if there are not, okay, I think we have, So if we have one more question, okay. There are no more questions, so we'll just get into the summary and the closing remarks by every speaker now. So I think Mr. Chhabra has left. He had a meeting, if I'm not wrong. Let me search. Mr. Chhabra, are you there? I guess he had left. So then let's come to Mr. Tushar Arora for your closing remarks, please. 15-20 seconds.
Sure, Anuj. I think Sumit hit the nail on the head. We have to care for our people. That's the biggest thing. If they feel they're being heard, things are being responded to the way they like, they will contribute to the organization and they will stay. We actually did an HR cluster program with ACMA, and Raman San from ASDC was there. We used technology to create a dashboard for absenteeism, attrition, and skilling. Our absenteeism with the data and these improvements improved from 28% to 14%, and attrition from 40% in new skilled employees, from 40% to 10%. So just think, listening, hearing, leveraging technology for data, and taking actions.
Beautiful, fantastic. So at attrition, absenteeism, and skilling. Now I will not make an acronym of that now. I'll skip. All right. So great, fantastic. So Mr. Vigneshwar.
I think a great way to make sure that the automobile dealerships are a great place to work in is to actually work with the current people. I completely agree with Sumit by saying that we need to develop people. 90% of the jobs at dealerships can be done by current people, by developing them. And we only need 10% from outside. But if attrition rates are bad, you probably need 90% from outside, and then it's going to get us nowhere. So as far as skills go, I think challenges are there, but I guess we need to know how to adapt, adopt, and improve, and that will get us to where our customers want us to be. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Fantastic. So we have to trust our teams. So look inwards, in short, basically. 90% job gets done right there. All right. So coming to Mr. Sudhakar for his closing remarks.
Yeah, Anuj, I think we are in the right direction. 2 years back, where digital was not spoken about, now we are speaking about digital everywhere. I think rather we should move to the next level of digital. The issue which you spoke about, people not getting the hands-on practice is very critical, particularly in vocational space. So digital is a way forward. And second, integrating all the ecosystem partners with the help of technology to reach out to every district of the country. I think that's going to be key for us to move forward. And finally, I think building awareness about vocational education from as early as 6th and 7th standard itself. I think if you don't do that, then we will continue to have vocational education seen as a for a only particular section of people. Rather, we should make it mainstream. Thank you.
Great, beautiful, fantastic. So in fact, that day, if that day can arrive when there's no one begging on the road, when you park your car and nobody reaches up to your window, because everybody is skilled. And they are on the job, they're working. As simple as that. There's nobody on the road. Nobody's wasting time. Nobody's on the road. They're all busy working. I think that day can really be realized by skilling and by collaboration, as you rightly mentioned. So coming to Mr. Sumit for his closing remarks.
Yes, I would only urge the employees of the organization to come forward and actively engage yourself in skills creation rather than always looking for government to take this initiative for doing the skill creation. I think it definitely needs a very collaborative approach between the academia and the industry to create talent for themselves. Obviously, academia plays a lot of, adds value, and obviously coordinated by the Sector Skill Council to ensure that we are kind of following the skilling standards to ensure the quality as well.
Beautiful. So thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time, for these great value adds, for these priceless learnings. And ASDC, I think your job has gone even more crucial and critical, because the job of the collaboration, actually, a lot of collaboration, a lot of getting industry together for skilling is done by you. So more and more power to you, ASDC. That's what I'll say. So thank you so much, and back to the organizers at ASDC. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Anuj.
Thank you, Mr. Anuj. And like he said twice here in this session, he loves giving challenges. So I'm sure the challenge that he has given to everybody on this platform, we will be giving that back, right? Well, moving ahead, now we'll be talking about transition in ASDC and future priorities, but I'm really not the right person to be talking about it. We have Mr. F.R. Singhvi, who is currently the chairman of Pillar 3 of ACMA. He is the joint managing director of Sansera Engineering Limited. Mr. Singhvi is an all India rank holder in both the intermediate and final examination of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And Mr. Singhvi, as a member of Rotary, is involved in a project called Mansi, recognized by WHO in providing treatment to the depressed women in over 200 villages in rural Bangalore, and is expected to be launched in different parts of the world very, very soon. So without the further ado, sir, I would request you to please kindly come on the screen.
Yeah, thank you very much. With so many sessions and deliberations, I do not really know how much people have the capacity to further listen, but I shall still try to introduce ASDC the past few years and going forward in a short while. So, Mr. Vinod Agarwal, the president, and the past president Nipun San, our advisor Raman San, and other panelists and delegates and people. I'm so happy to today talk about ASDC and my journey. ASDC with the completion of 10 years of its existence. And I've been part of this institution for quite some time. And I've seen huge amount of transformation, particularly more so in the last 4 years. And in the last 4 years, basically what we have tried to do is that not only we bring in processes that helps ASDC, but also would become probably the SOP for various skill development societies in the country, and we can bring them onto the same kind of process that we are using. Like Mr. Sudhakar said, one of the major transformation we did was digital assessment, because for an employer to have confidence that the skilled person has all the proper qualification and has been trained well, that confidence can come only if the system is transparent and the entire assessment process is with human intervention free. And that is what we have tried to do. And more, I'm happy to say more than 7,000 assessment has been done through this process, despite the challenges that we faced with COVID and for the last 2 years. And the other program that we have initiated is with TCS Eon, again, is Automotive Skill Hub, where 13 courses are already available on this platform, and more than 22,000 have registered as learners. So what we have talked about in these 2 sessions, we have already put in place to a large extent. In order to enable upskilling of dealer manpower, ASDC is partnered with Google and FADA to offer e-learning courses in digital marketing. This allows existing dealer sales force to be aligned with the changing trends. This is what you had in the last session, that existing employees have to be trained rather than finding somebody from outside. And the most important part of skill development is that people should be able to stay in their own localities rather than moving elsewhere in the country. And therefore, job listing platform to connect the potential employer and the trainee is what we have attempted. And thanks to COVID, we could not really release it, but it is very soon to be released. So the basic idea that we have done in the last 4 to 5 years is to become very relevant to our stakeholders, our parental organization, by not only providing them skilled manpower, skilled through its franchisee, but also become a one-stop shop for being an intermediary to identify industry requirement, the new technology requirement, and then engage with the government, the academia, various other bodies like research organizations, technical organizations, and all these, to make sure that the total ecosystem is developed so that we are for the future ready for the kind of jobs that the industry requires, and also try and remove the lot of duplication that happens today, that student is not really trained in the colleges and they have to be again retrained in the organization. So which is what I saw in the 2 panel discussion, that is the most important need, and ASDC is already working towards for last 1 decade. And in order to ensure what kind of skill development is required going forward, so we had a skill gap study for the industry in 2019, by E&Y. And so we do have a certain kind of information and knowledge the way forward. ASDC in forward also like to engage with industry to support skilled manpower in emerging technologies, digitalization of courses, not only for current requirement, but also for the future, like electric vehicle and industry 4 applications. While new NSQF aligned qualification standards are being approved, upskilling training programs have already been launched, and which is very essential. You don't want to create new employees and have the old employees jobless. And that is already started. And at the same time, training of trainers and assessors for new technologies are being implemented. So ASDC as a body of 3 organizations is trying to work not only with them, but also with many other organizations, including Ministry of Skill Development, Entrepreneurship, Ministry of Industries and Road Transport, to ensure that the government plans on technology, government plans on the economy, and the industry requirements are met, and aspiration of the young people are met through the proper skill development, and ensure that our economy grows through auto industry. So with that, I look forward to working continuously with the ASDC in the new capacity. And I'm so happy that the 2 panel discussion has given a fair amount of roadmap, which are more or less aligned to our objective, and we will take them forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. Can we have a virtual round of applause for Sir? Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for your time. Also moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next segment for this evening now, which happens to be rewards and recognition. I suppose from the very childhood, everybody wants that recognition or reward for the extra amount of work that they do. And we are moving towards that only. And to do the same, he is my co-host for the day, Mr. Arindam, CEO, ASDC. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shikha, for taking it forward. And we have some very, very interesting, partnerships that we've been very fortunate to be part of. And therefore, we always look forward to finding an opportunity where we can recognize and reward the same institutions to acknowledge the kind of work that they have been able to do with ASDC as a partner organization. And in this segment, the first segment that we would want to take up is the awards for industry partners for partnerships on content. And the first name on this is, you can go forward, on Mahindra and Mahindra Limited, who have been very kind enough to share some of their digital content to be shared to the larger audience. And we would thank Mahindra and Mahindra for the same, for using, for basically choosing ASDC to be a vehicle to promote these digital content. Thank you. Next. We also have a very, very interesting partnership with Toyota Kirloskar Motors Private Limited on XEV Siksha project, which is to share the basic understanding at the engineering college level of the XEV, which is the acronym that we use for all kinds of EVs, hybrid, partially hybrid, battery electric vehicle, etc. And this is just the need of the hour. And we are so happy that it comes from a world leader like Toyota. And we're very happy to recognize Toyota for their association with us on this particular area of work. Thank you, Toyota. Our next partner that we want to recognize is another OEM, which is Hyundai Motor India Limited, where they've shared again their digital content, which is kind of basics of automotive engineering, which I think is a very, very lucid and very useful format of accessing that content in an e-learning way, e-learning format. And we are very thankful for Hyundai to choose ASDC as a partner to distribute and make this content accessible, digital content accessible to all the skill learners. Thank you, Hyundai. We also have a content partnership with All Pro Auto Consultants. They are a boutique consultant on the area of spare parts management at the auto dealerships. And they work with a large number of OEM brands. And they've been very instrumental in creating a very, very specific program on inventory management, spare part management at the auto dealerships, which is, I think, one of the most important measures to ensure that the dealerships are profitable, because managing parts is very, very important at the dealership. And we thank you, All Pro Consultants, for choosing ASDC to be the vehicle through which your digital content is shared to the larger audience. Thank you. And on this series, last but not the least, is Google India team, where we're doing a very, very unique program of upskilling of the existing manpower at the dealerships, at the auto dealerships. It's contextualized for auto dealerships to enhance their knowledge and skill in digital marketing tools and techniques. And the program is called Grow with Google. And Google India has been I would say we are very thankful to Google India for having chosen ASDC as a partner to disseminate this knowledge in the entire fraternity of auto dealerships. On this program, we of course have our promoting body, FADA, as a co-partner to distribute this content among the learners so that they can enhance their skills in digital marketing. Thank you, Google India. So with that, we come to the next phase and the final phase of our categories. And we have some very exciting awards coming up for our partners across various processes. And we would like to start with recognizing our Training Partner Excellence Award. And the award nominees are Emas Skill Ventures Private Limited, EduJobs Academy Private Limited, Gram Tarang Employability Training Services Private Limited, LaborNet Services India Limited, and LearnNet Skills Limited. So these are the top 5 in terms of their long-term association with ASDC, and also with the quantum of training that they have done across the various job roles that they have chosen to deliver. And the winner among them is, of course, they are all winners, but we have to choose one, and it's LearnNet Skills Limited. Congratulations to LearnNet Skills team for their outstanding effort and being a great partner with ASDC. Thank you very much. And we have a statement from them. We at LearnNet Skills are deeply honored to be nominated for this award. This award recognizes our team's hard work and quality of outcomes over the years, and it motivates us to persevere and continue doing what we are good at, impart future-ready employability skill training. Absolutely in agreement, and we look forward to continue this association. Moving on to the next category, which is higher NSQF level training award. So at NSQF level 4, we say that this is the up to 4, we say this is the entry level. And there is always a challenge in imparting the higher NSQF level training. But we have 2 nominees. We don't have as many training partners who are offering this, but we have 2 nominees in terms of the volume of training that they have been able to do over the last couple of years. And that includes NTTF, Network Technical Training Foundation, and PCFCT, which is Premier Center for Competency Training. And while both of them are really winners, the winner that we've been able to choose is NTTF. And congratulations to you, NTTF team, for being there and doing a great work in terms of promoting the higher NSQF level training, especially in the manufacturing and R&D domain, which is where you've taken a lead. Thank you, NTTF. NTTF's statement on this has been that we at NTTF are very happy and humbled to be nominated for this award. With a legacy of 60 years, I think this is one of the oldest organizations in skilling and employment-linked training in India. NTTF has made difference to thousands of lives with its presence across India, and this award will further bolster NTTF's commitment towards Skill India. Thank you, NTTF. We move to the next award category, which is the best industry partner for RPL training, which is recognition of prior learning. And this is one of the most flagship program with the government schemes that we have had, and we've been very fortunate in working with a lot of industry partners. And the nominees for this segment in the auto component segment are India Japan Lighting, KJ Forgings Private Limited, Mitsuba Sikal India Private Limited, Sansera Engineering Limited, and the Victoria Group. And while all of them, to my mind, is all are winners, again, we had to choose one based on the number of RPL training and certification that was done among these people. And the winner is the Victoria Group. And congratulations to Victoria Group for the wonderful work that they have been doing. They have sent us their written comment. We are grateful to ASDC for nominating Victoria in RPL Industry Partner Awards category. We thank ASDC for giving us the opportunity, to our employees for the certification under the RPL program. We would also like to thank the Minerva team with Ms. Mrinal Sharma for facilitating the complete process, and also thank to Honorable Vice President HR and Admin for this successes. Thank you and congratulations to Victoria Group. Moving on to the next category, we have the Best Industry Partner for RPL Training Award for the next segment, which is on commuting services industry. And the nominees for these are ANI Technologies Private Limited, which is Ola Cabs, Raste Commuting Services Private Limited, and Uber India System Private Limited. And we did a lot of work with all three of them, and it was difficult to choose a winner among them, but based on the volumes that we finally did, the winner is Raste Commuting Services Private Limited. They're called Raste Cabs, and congratulations, Raste team, for this wonderful effort. Raste says, we are delighted to be recognized as best-in-class employer and happy for our staff getting certified through PMKVY RPL. PMKVY is Prime Minister Kaushal Vikas Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. We thank Team ASDC and Team Local Thinkers, which was the implementation agency, as our implementation partners, for all the support and the smooth execution. Thank you, Raste team. We move on to the next category in the same space, which is on Best Industry Partner for RPL training, but in the auto service industry, which is at the dealerships. And the nominees for them are Concept Automobiles Private Limited, KTL Private Limited, Safdarjung Motors Private Limited, and Satnam Motorcorp. And all of them are clearly winners, but we had to choose one winner, and the winner is, for this category, Concept Automobiles Private Limited. Congratulations to Team Concept, and thank you for your support in implementation of this RPL training in your dealerships. We want to thank you for helping us enrich our team and technician, as well as the betterment of their skills and learning. You not only help them locate their strengths and weakness, but you also motivated them with certificates and monetary benefits with your program to make their career and lives better. This is the comment that we have received from the Concept team. in anticipation of winning this award. And thank you once again, Concept team, and congratulations. We move to the next award category, which is the RPL Best Performing RPL Implementation Partner Award. And we've had a number of implementation partners. And the nominees for the same are EduJobs Academy Private Limited, Global Thinkers, and Minerva Skills. And again, we have a very long-term association with each one of them, but the winner for this year is EduJobs Academy Private Limited. Congratulations to Team EduJobs, and thank you for doing a wonderful job in terms of implementation of RPL program. EduJobs Academy has been in the forefront of employment-linked skill development for quite some time now, but being nominated for the RPL Implementation Award for ASDC is a milestone in itself. Together with ASDC, we've transformed lives of 61,000 plus professionals, but it's just a start in a long, fruitful relationship. Absolutely in agreement, Team EduJobs, and we look forward to continued association with you. Thank you. We now move to the next award category, which is with our partners in assessment agencies. And the first award category is Assessment Quality Award. And the nominees are Aeon Consulting Private Limited, EduVantage Private Limited, and TCS Iron, part of Tata Consultancy Services. And while all of them are doing fantastic work, the winner in terms of the quality of assessments, the award goes to TCS Iron. Congratulations to Team TCS Iron for your work, and thank you very much for supporting and improving the quality of assessments at the Automotive Sector Skill Council. The Iron Digital Assessment and Marking Solution, it digitizes end-to-end ASDC skilling ecosystem through an automated end-to-end digital assessment process, which is secure and transparent. The assessment solution provides end-to-end services to configure and schedule examinations. These include creating online assessments, configuring attendance and hall tickets, creating drives, managing exam slots, and assigning test centers to candidates. The solution also helps manage the distribution of question papers and the evaluation and results management processes. We look forward to your continued support from the TCS Iron team as we scale up this assessment and make it much more the common practice in the skilling ecosystem in India. Thank you, TCS Iron team. We move to the next award category in assessments, which is Assessment Partner Achievement Award, which is based on the quantity of assessments that has been done over the last 2 years by different assessment partners. And the nominees for that are ACE Assessments Private Limited, Prima Competencies Private Limited, SP Institute of Workforce Development Private Limited, which is in short form known as SPIWD, and Trendsetter Skill Assessors Private Limited. All of them have done tremendous amount of work in terms of the volumes of assessments that they have been able to deliver across the nook and corner of the country, and helping ASDC to deliver the assessments and to issue the certificate at the end of the assessment process. But the winner for this, we have to choose one, and the winner is Prima Competencies Private Limited. And congratulations to you, Prima team, and thank you very much for supporting us in the assessment process. Their comment was, I think, very short but very sweet. We were born, and ASDC held our hands to help us walk. All the rest is history. One of the few SSCs that has done defining work in skill sector. We are proud of being part of ASDC family, and at ASDC, we are proud that we have partners like you who've been helping us deliver the work that we need to do. Thank you. We move to the next award category on apprenticeship, which is National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme. So the best performing NAPS TPA award, the nominees are TPA is the third party aggregators in the apprenticeship ecosystem. The first nominee is Allied Resource Management Services. Then we have Yashasvi Academy for Skills. And then we have Yuva Shakti Foundation. All of them have been very supportive. In fact, all of the TPAs, there are many of them who are very closely working with us at ASDC, but we had to choose one based on the performance over the last 1 year. And the winner is Yashasvi Group, Yashasvi Academy for Skills as the best performing NAPS TPA award. And congratulations to Yashasvi team. And thank you for being a great support to the team ASDC. We have a comment from their team member, Abhishek Kulkarni, who would like to express our gratitude for receiving nomination. We as Team Yashasvi feel deeply honored for being recognized for our efforts by one of our most enthusiastic and encouraging partners, ASDC. This prestigious award shall further boost our morale and quadruple our efforts towards skilling youth through apprenticeship, thus taking our nation one step forward towards becoming an economic superpower. Thank you, Yashasvi Group, for your efforts. We move to the next category of awards. And the next category is the best performing NAPS Establishment Award, which is the organization which is employing these apprentices. And the nominees for the same are Daimler India Commercial Vehicles, Endurance Technologies Limited, XAD Clutch India Private Limited, Renault Nissan Automotive India Private Limited, and Royal Enfield, which is a unit of Eicher Motors Limited. And they have all been part of the ASDC family in terms of implementation of the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme. But the winner for this, we have to choose one. And the winner for this category is Renault Nissan Automotive India Private Limited, who've done the maximum number of apprentices over the last 1 year under the NAP scheme. Their feedback has been at the outset, a hearty congratulations to ASDC for the successful completion of 10 glorious years by rendering their services to the automotive industry. And it is evident that this mission is providing a great opportunity for youths in India to upskill themselves. We take this opportunity to thank ASDC for choosing Renault Nissan as the best NAPS establishment of the year 2020-21. And this award is one of the most significant milestones for us to cherish. And we would like to express our sincere appreciation to all our team members, especially our third-party aggregator, TPA Messrs, TVS Training and Services Limited, for partnering with us in this endeavor. Thank you, Team Renault Nissan. Next category is the Placement Support Award category. And this is the support that we've received from various industry organizations in supporting the placement initiatives at ASDC. The first nominee is Hero Gurukul, part of Hero Motocorp Limited, SKH Sheet Metal, and Metalman Micro Turner. They have been always egging us in terms of providing skilled manpower for their requirements and the requirements of their ecosystem. And the winner for this award is Hero Gurukul, and we are extremely delighted to be your partner at Hero. And congratulations to Team Hero Gurukul, which works in very, very close coordination with the ASDC team. Thank you very much. ASDC and Hero collaborated to create dual mode of education, classrooms and practical labs to clarify multiple ideas and build skills, while on-the-job training helps them master the skills. Thanks to the 10-20-70 training pedagogy, students can quickly adapt to new skills. The Alliance not only fulfills youth aspirations by making them employable, but also provides a future-ready, adaptable workforce for the automotive industry. Thank you, Team Hero Gurukul. The last category that we have for today's evening is the Placement Achievement Award. And we have a few nominees here, which is Frosties India Private Limited, ICA EduSkills, Puttukaran Institute for Human Resource and Development, KHRD in Kerala, Learned Skills Limited. And they've all had great achievement in terms of placing the students that they have trained, both in terms of numbers as well as the percentage of placement among the trained and certified candidates. And the winner is Frosties India Private Limited. And congratulations to Team Frosties for supporting ASDC and making sure that the candidates at the end of their skill training program get good quality placement in numbers, and therefore they can actually earn their livelihood. Established in 1998, Frosties has grown to its current position as one of the largest automobile dealership group in Eastern India. It has a diversified business portfolio comprising of automobile dealerships, spare part distributorships, fast food restaurants, education and skill development. Till date, we have trained more than 1 lakh students and placed more than 80% of the students in different industries. Frosty India's placement record speaks for itself. Over the years, the record has reached heights of success and never fell below 80%. Our success in placements has been the result of meticulous planning, pre-placement training, mock interviews, and hands-on industry training. So true, Team Frosties, and congratulations to you once again, and thank you very much. That brings us to the end of this section, and I would request my colleague, Mr. Piyush Garg, to deliver the vote of thanks for today is Conclave.
Thank you, Arindam. It's time for gratitude for the day. Respected distinguished leaders from the automotive industry and from our skilling and knowledge partners, it is a privilege to have been amongst your gracious presence. The day-long ASDC annual conclave supported by Skill India, a Government of India initiative, has been an absolutely enriching experience. It has been wonderful to be listening to the diverse views on the evolving automotive sector in order to understand what needs to be done to prepare the workforce of tomorrow. This year's conclave is based on the theme of 10 years of ASDC, as it captures a decade of efforts to facilitate the required flow of skilled resources for the ever-evolving automotive sector, which provides approximately 37 million direct and indirect jobs to India. At this moment, I would like to express a heartfelt thanks to ASDC outgoing President Mr. Nikunj Sanghiji for having steered the organization from 2017 to 2021, and for his tremendous contribution strengthening the automotive skilling ecosystem. I would also like to welcome our new president, Mr. Vinod Agrawal. Thank you, Mr. Agrawal, for his special address, which beautifully underlines the vision and the way forward for the next decade, sir. Our heartfelt thanks to our esteemed chief guest, Dr. N.S. Kalsi, Chairperson NCVET, and special guest, Mr. Paul Jensen from Fleet Forum for their keynote addresses. Thank you, sirs. For your respective perspectives have been really unique and added layers to the disclosures. I would also like to thank our esteemed participants at the session, who are the leading luminaries from the automotive sector and related disciplines, for enriching the discourse with your invaluable thoughts and ideas. Thank you for making the conclave a success. Any conclave of this scale requires multi-stakeholders, collaboration, and commitment. A big thanks to our sponsors and partners for their support has been instrumental in not only making the occasion possible, but also successful. Thank you to our sponsors. Thanks to a government partner, Skill India. Our title partners, Maruti Suzuki India Limited, Certified, Sensera, Teamlease, NTI. Thank you all. Our platinum partners, Ashok Leyland, Turtle Wax, Yashashvi Academy. Thank you all. Our gold partners, Honda Cars India, Mahindra and Mahindra, Crisp, Eicher, JS 4 Wheels, TCS Ion, SPI WD, VC EV, Blue Cam Group, and Caroline. Thank you all. And our silver partners, East Auto, Dent Master, Digital Agents, Mirka, MW Driving School, ISIE, Stavies, Auto Institute, ACE, Educe, Prima, Metal, EduVantage, Growth Source, EduJobs, AAMC, Nicola Education Trust, ICICI Bank, and AIP Piston. Thank you to all our sponsors, without which this would have been not possible. Last but not the least, thanks to the audience and our friends from the media for supporting the conclave. Thank you all. The automotive sector is expected to undergo a tremendous change over the next decade, and it is the commitment of the ASDC to give its best in delivering a future-oriented skilled workforce. Thank you everyone for being part of this two-day initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Piyush, sir. Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this conclave, wherein we have completed 10 good years. The credit goes to everybody who was here also for the support, acting as one pillars. Last but not the least, one thing that everybody and every organization or everyone should follow is the feedback. If we don't get feedback, how will we work for the future, right? So ladies and gentlemen, if you go on to the home screen, there's a help desk button. If you navigate through it, we have an option of feedback. So I would highly request to spare just 30 seconds to 1 minute of your life and give us your feedback. It is because very, very, very important to all of us. Thank you so very much. This was me, Shika Pandya, on behalf of ASDC. And have a